Gather around, freaks. It's time for the evil robot from the first movie to join forces with the humans. We've traveled back from the future to save John Connors. We need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, so give them up. So gather around the Skynet radio and gather around the fire pit of skulls. Oh, wait, what? Oh, not that one? Oh, the new one. Okay, it's time for. Hey, did you see this one?
In a world where society tells you to doubt your strength, question your intelligence, and dim your light, we search for voices to tell our stories. Voices to empower us,
uplift us, and keep us heard by the masses. These are the voices of powerful, resilient, and talented women who aren't afraid to speak up and speak loudly. Women who teach us to be brave, to be vulnerable, and to believe in ourselves. So, Hey, Did You See This One? Invites you to Feminist Masterpiece Theater.
Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome to the hit show. Hey, did you see this one? My name is Jason R. Phillips, and I'm joined as always by Stephen Boba Blackfly Waters.
Hi.
It's Hey, did you see this one? It's Feminist Masterpiece Theater, the month where we talk about films with strong female leads, woman directors, those sorts of things. Hopefully we have
female writers, female actors, female, storytellers in general. Women,
stuff,
women. And we will be joined by a cast of women. Noel will be here all month, and this week we have a man. Cam, you got to turn your camera on.
I was waiting for you to do a full woman introduction.
Yeah.
Before I stunk it up.
This is episode 190, season 3, episode 41. If you're playing at home, we are, of course, talking about M3GAN 2.0. This could and is definitely the fastest movie coming out to us covering it. So 99% of the people that will ever see this have not seen it. And that's the answer to the question.
So we should say at the beginning of the episode, this is going to be heavily spoilery. We're going to spoil all of it. Yeah.
We're going to tell you the whole movie, basically, as we do every week.
I decided to make sure that my degree, my diploma, was in the frame, so you know that I'm an educated woman as well.
All right. Sorry, I thought Jason was here. Well, we all know that you're an educated woman, but now the internet does as well. And also, welcome back, Noel. It's always nice to have you, and it's been too long, but you are always welcome to the show, and you're welcome here today. Yay! And, of course, we've already introduced you, Cam, but welcome back as well. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the show before. He'll be on the show again. Cam Maitland.
Wow.
Welcome.
Let's see how this goes.
Let's see indeed.
Yeah.
So you've introduced all the guests.
Yes, you've been banished for a moment, so I did that, yeah.
Okay, so there seems to be something going on with Steven and I tonight where we were getting kicked out of the stream. So
are you getting the same breaking point status thing? Maybe it's a StreamYard thing.
Yeah, it was like, oh shucks. well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we don't all get kicked out at the same time. If we have to redo this episode again, well, this is hell. Listen, I think it's time for a brief synopsis.
Oh my gosh, who's gonna ask for the synopsis this week? I wonder.
Zardoz speaks to you. He demands you synopsize this film. Tell him how, why, who, what occurs in this film.
That's right. Noel, I believe you had something that you had prepared for the brief synopsis this week.
I do. So, M3GAN 2.0. Because of the events of M3GAN, Gemma has become an anti-AI activist. Amelia, a M3GAN-like AI robot under the control of the government, has gone rogue, now hunting Gemma and Katie, and also has access to every device in North America and could destroy the world. M3GAN has been living in the home smart system and convinces Gemma to rebuild her to defeat Amelia, who is looking for an evil AI created 20 years ago and will destroy the world. Although it seems like M3GAN has learned some empathy, Gemma puts an EMP kill switch into her arm. Gemma thinks that M3GAN has double-crossed them, but actually her boyfriend is the evil creator of Amelia, and she's under his control the whole time. He loses control of her when Katie pairs with her, and M3GAN sacrifices herself by using the kill switch in her to blow up Amelia.
Yeah, I would say that's the long and short of it. Perfect. Well, thank you.
I have one amendment.
Amendment?
Yeah.
Addendum.
It's 40 years, not 20. He was created in
Really?
1984. Yeah, the killer robot that lives in the ground or whatever.
My bad. I wrote this during a work meeting.
But also sometimes we as elderly people think the 80s was 20 years ago. But really it was 40
for
years
some
ago.
reason I remember them saying imagine it living for 20 years, but my brain.
Yeah, it maybe he's been locked up in the basement for that long or whatever.
Because it was a robot that was killing people at first.
Yeah, he was gassing them in their homes. He looked like Rob 64 or whatever. Like he looked like one of those Super Nintendo robots. Yeah.
All right, but we'll get there.
We will. Yeah, we'll get there. Well, thank you for that, Noel. Very good. I guess we don't really have a brief history of this, except our history is that we all saw it together on Canada Day. It was fun. It was a nice afternoon to get out of the disgusting heat and into a semi-air-conditioned theater. I don't know. It's still pretty hot in there.
Poorly air-conditioned for sure. I think I have a conspiracy theory. This is Canada only, but I think Cineplex only turns on the AC once the movies start. And,
Right.
Yeah. Actually, I can help you with that conspiracy theory, because you notice when you go into a theater and sit down, it smells like when a fridge has been turned off for a while, and it's got that like mildewy smell. I noticed this a couple years ago during the pandemic when movies started to first come back, and I'm like, that's definitely a cost-cutting measure, because traditionally in the summertime, people get out of the heat by just going into a matinee or whatever, and now
I think
not
during
so much.
the summer of Ghostbusters, me and Cam like double featured movies because it was so hot. I think both of our ACs were off. We're like, let's just watch movies
I don't
all
think
day.
I even back in the lady ghost busting days, I think I didn't even have AC. It was a real something. But yeah, that's my new conspiracy. Though sometimes it just hasn't turned on at all, and you just boil in the theater while watching I don't know, the Phoenician Scheme or some dumb shit.
So instead of a brief history this week, it was a brief conspiracy.
So brief, so history.
Right. Well, I guess we can just head into production talk, which also is going to be pretty light unless we have some information.
I do not.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out if I could figure out why I keep getting booted. Oh, and he got booted. All right.
I mean, there's a little on Wikipedia and stuff. It was a quick production. They went very fast. Jason Blum in that interview says he regrets going so fast, maybe, even though it was 2 years. It wasn't crazy.
Yeah, standard sequel especially for a horror movie. Sometimes they pop those out every year, right? For a while.
But yeah, you do see that it was like supposed to be written by Akilah Cooper and then wasn't in the end. So maybe something was too fast there, and I know in that there's a very good not to tell people to listen to another podcast, but Jason Blum went on The Town to talk about the failures of M3GAN 2 at the box office, and he said that he thought that Gerard Johnson, who ended up writing and directing, that he's a guy who can do a lot with a lot of time, but he kind of didn't give him enough time. Not that I think that that's really fair, even, because the movie's fine. I think we all like the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think overall we all kind of knew what we were expecting, and we got what we expected, and maybe not any more than we expected, but it was good. It was pretty good. I don't really have anything else to add, other than the fact that I was quite excited for this, and especially to see a rubber puppet, which we got a little bit of. I think there was a little more CGI in this one than the first one, but that's one of the draws for this type of movie for me, is the weird practical uncanniness of a giant doll that tries to kill people.
True.
Yeah.
I also will say that because I think everyone was kind of like, oh, I guess we'll never see M3GAN again. But I totally forgot till today when I was picking around that there's a spin-off still coming next year called Soulmate with an 8. So that's it's set in the universe of M3GAN. So
right.
I think it's in the can. I think we're getting another thing regardless.
I wonder if that'll be back to horror. Sorry, go ahead, Noel.
Sorry, you threw to me and my brain just turned off. No, I remember as soon as I saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh, it's Terminator 2. And that's one of the only reasons that I felt good about seeing it, because I'm such a weenie. I can't horror, I can't psychological, whatever. It's not even that I don't like it. It's that my body and brain actively repel it. Mm-hmm. I will shut down. So I saw it and was like, oh, Terminator 2, cool, I'll go see it. So if anyone's worried that it's too horror-y or too derivative, no. It's the David S. Pumpkins of these slasher kind of
absolutely
movies. It's its own thing.
Yes.
Yeah, they did definitely sort of neuter the horror elements for this one, but there's still remnants here and there. And I mean, I've seen the first one a few times. I've seen the unrated version and the non-unrated version. I would say even if you're a little bit nervous for horror, it is a safe horror movie to see. It's kind of like an entry level horror movie, if you can't handle tension and stuff. There's a couple of moments that might get you, but it's mostly just fun, weird fun.
Yeah, it's I think it's a hard PG. I mean, a soft PG 14A, whatever, because there's blood, but even the blood is black and across the window. You don't really see anything.
You could take your kids to it.
It's just us now, Noel. We have a podcast.
Oh no!
Boo! Dad's back.
I don't know why this is happening to Jeff and Steven. It doesn't make any sense. I'm
the chaotic Hollywood squares.
Are you guys in the same room?
No, that's the thing.
Are you trapped in the evil Faraday cage from
I'm trapped in M3GAN's body in the internet. I'm gonna
all right, well,
this is great. This is just like M3GAN.
It's like M3GAN is part of our podcast and she just keeps cutting off the two people that are talking to.
No, it's the evil guy is close enough that he's messing with our Wi-Fi and changing the source code.
Reboot my whole and then Steve reboot your whole shit after I do.
I figured that's what you're gonna do. We're still keeping it going.
It stayed alive when it was just Noel and I, and we did fine. So
we can just keep going.
I don't know if you know this, but Noel has a degree, so her computer's fine. she doesn't have whatever ramshackle CPU you're using.
I have 14 cables that are duct taped together, and they're all chewed up. Okay, so typically
by yourself?
By myself,
Did you chew them?
I fall asleep on the floor and I chew on the wires. It's crazy. It's wild. We usually will do our production talk, but because we don't have too much of that to talk about today, I guess we'll just go right into the body of the episode.
The body of the episode.
All right, so this is the part of the show where we get into the meat and potatoes of the story and talk about, things that we liked, things that we didn't like, things that we maybe wanted to see, or just break down scenes at an individual level. So the movie starts with a very heavy action sequence. Where we're introduced to the idea of M3GAN. It's kind of like there's a bunch of stuff happening at once, but we're introduced to a killer robot, but it's, you know, they do the bait and switch, even though we've already seen the trailer when it's going on. But like, there's a woman, she gets shot in the head, and then it cuts to a bunch of sort of like bureaucratic businessmen who work with the FBI, all talking about like, we've got this new technology, we have it infiltrating right now. Just watch the screens and you guys will see. It's almost sort of like it's sort of similar to the boardroom meeting from the first movie, where they're trying to sell a bunch of people on the idea of a robot, except instead of a companion robot, now it's a killer robot that can infiltrate. Sorry, go ahead.
I got real Iron Man vibes from that scene when like Tony Stark is like, I've like capitalized war. Like
there's a lot of Iron Man in this movie, actually.
Felt like that.
Mention it. Yeah.
And it felt like it was intentional. Like I feel like they were trying to make a point with some of the, because Tony Stark is also an analog for blank.
Yes.
Is problem.
But even like later on when they're rebuilding M3GAN, there's like a lot of Iron Man-ish scene where they like take a shin plate and like put it into like a vat of water to steam it or whatever, and they have like the tongues and stuff. I'm like, this is very Iron Man too. There's a lot of Iron Man going on in this. Oh, sorry, I just punched my microphone.
That's right. I was able to listen a little bit, so I do agree with the Iron Man stuff. I also wanted to just mention from like the beginning, I watched Terminator 2 yesterday because I hadn't seen it in like a shitload of time, and I was just like,
well, that didn't work. Oh no.
Well, we now know it's not M3GAN. It's the villain of Skynet, obviously.
Yeah.
Tired of
the tech issues happening on this episode is pretty funny.
It's wild. Yeah.
Also, I'm dressed in M3GAN colors.
Oh, true.
Whoa. Maybe I'm M3GAN.
Maybe you. This all makes sense if you're M3GAN.
The real bait and switch for me was that it looked so much like Elizabeth Olsen or whatever her name is, and it wasn't. Like so much like her.
There was a moment where I'm like, is that an Olsen? I'm like, I know this person from somewhere. She's in Ahsoka, the TV show. And I was like, oh, Danny halfway through was like, this is Ahsoka. It's like, okay, yes, I know now. But yeah, the scene is basically she is there to free a scientist who's being held against his will for the American government. But instead, she murders everybody. There's a little bit of horror going on here when she crawls down the wall. It almost looks like The Grudge or something. I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm liking this. She also literally punches somebody's head off like a doll. It's crazy. You only see the shadow, but it's like, it looks like a toy head popping off. It's great. And then she, instead of following her orders and freeing the scientist, kills the scientist. And we get a pretty cool, spooky sequence of them trying to shut her down and failing, and then they directly order her and use sort of like kill switch words to try and like turn her off, but they fail at that as well. And she basically says like, I'm not working for you, I'm not listening to you, and if I tell you, that would just ruin the surprise or whatever. Like, ooh, spooky. And that's sort of the cold open of the movie. And yeah, I mean, like, I think it sets the tone pretty well. You immediately understand that this is going to be a completely different movie than what you get in the first one, because the intro of the first movie is sort of a traditional horror movie intro where we meet somebody who has a tragic outcome, and it sets you up for like, okay, this person is broken, and their journey through the movie is going to be filled with spooky stuff and most likely tragedy. Whereas this movie, it's like, no, this is Jason Bourne, probably. Don't worry, Jason Bourne.
Yeah, it gives you the stakes immediately. It's like, this robot will murder everybody. Like,
this robot will shut off streams till way after you've seen the film.
It's wild that this is happening. I'm actually going to work on getting a new browser right now, so I'm actively doing troubleshooting.
What are you doing? Alta Vista?
Tech support. I was reading Reddit just now.
Web crawler.
I was reading Reddit just now, and people had this issue 3 years ago, and apparently
I was going to say that Maybe M3GAN 1.0 came out 3 years ago. Is that possible? Yeah, it's true. Hey.
Oh,
That's
my
what's
God.
happening.
I'm gonna say that Jason was making a very good point about the M3GANs.
Or he was making a very good joke, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna also open this up on a new browser as well.
Shall we keep trolling on?
Yes, I say yes. I've already lost our place, though. I feel like chat, talking, disappearances.
We just did the cold open, so this is the part of the movie where we get Gemma kind of update on what she's been up to and how she's now become an advocate for not necessarily anti-AI, but how to integrate AI to benefit humanity rather than replace humanity, as well as the importance of mental health for children and ensuring that they're connected to other human beings and not necessarily just in front of screens or plugged into computers to show them how their life should be run. And it's basically the complete opposite of where she was at the beginning of the first movie, where she was so sort of ingrained and steeped in the tech world that that's all she could even think about, to the point that she was almost robotic herself.
Yeah, they're trying to pass legislation as well to
Yes.
Regulate AI, and there were actually protesters as well. So it seems like there's a group of people who are also anti-AI that were protesting Jermaine Clements thing.
Yeah. I guess if we had a M3GAN, we'd probably have a little bit more of a coalesced anti-killer robots group.
It's a video package, and one of the things that they did that I really enjoyed was a scene would happen, and then suddenly it would be like breaking news across like
Yes.
Yeah. Very RoboCop.
Yes. And then we get introduced to the Jermaine Clements character pretty early. So Cam, a little bit about him.
Sure, yeah, he's basically, I guess he's supposed to be like a Steve Jobsy Apple guy, because he's like a smart home
Appleton,
guy.
yeah,
Appleton. They do a good job of just being like, this character's going to be here for a very short time, so just have Jermaine Clement be like way over the top, but very funny, definitely like a highlight of the movie. And he also has a like space age wheelchair, but new AI spine, which allows him to walk as well. I think a lot of us commented, I was on the same side of the table as you, Noel, but a lot of us were like, wait, was that guy in the first movie? Because he just so confidently appears as like a guy that Allison Williams is obviously in conflict with, but offers her a lot of money and is turned on by her, and just kind of every villain thing all at once.
Yes, turned on by every woman.
Yeah, that's true too. Just a horny weirdo tech evangelist who also seemingly is just like everything bad you would assume about a tech guy, purposefully has planned obsolescence in all his devices, controls everything secretly, and is kind of the first target, I guess, of this rogue AI.
Yeah, and he helps you sort of orient yourself in where Gemma's technology is going, and then he has the cerebral brain chip and how he wants to take her, like Gemma's technology, and put it together with the cerebral brain chip, which would be catastrophe, like something. So we're foreshadowing / after the cold open about an AI that's uncontrollable, like Amelia, or like M3GAN was, only worse.
Yeah. I've opened a new browser. I think maybe it'll work. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
But that character is a lot of fun. Like, I really, as soon as I saw Jermaine Clements, I was like, I'm in.
And I will also say, of all the things, I do think that like the trailer kind of showed you that it was a comedy and an action, but I don't think I knew he was in the film at all. So I was
definitely didn't.
Surprised. And honestly, yes.
Okay, let's go ahead. Sorry.
No. Honestly, I think when the film, the action is pretty good too. But I do think that like when the film is at its most broadly comedic, mostly with him and Brian Jordan Alvarez, that's when it's at its best. Like it if nothing else, I think that this movie honestly has some like huge laughs in it. That
sorry if this was said already, but Brian Jordan Alvarez going from pretty much nobody when the first movie came out
Mhm.
to now 2-3 years later, him having a pretty decent following on TikTok and having his sitcom come out.
Mhm.
They gave him a lot more to do when I thought he was dead. Except for that last at the end of the movie, I suppose they show him getting like wheeled away or whatever.
No, they
But,
get
yeah.
at the end of the first movie. They both get out of the car and they comedically are very injured. Like they have like bandages on, and they're wearing. They both have like oxygen masks on, being like, "Oh, we got messed up too, but we're alive, just in case." Just in case there's a sequel and you want some sidekicks.
Yeah,
around.
I was gonna say there is also still Jen Van Epps, but she doesn't get much to do, unfortunately. She's more the straight woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are fun characters, and I'd love to dive into them a little bit in a moment. But I just want to go back to the comedy piece. So it is like you're like, oh, he knows he's in a comedy, but everyone else in the movie, they're just playing it very straight. Like
Yeah.
Katie is delivering every line straight. So is Gemma. Like so is the lady. Oh my god, I can't remember her name.
Tess, the other.
Yes, Tess. But everything, like things that they're saying are still jokes. Like when she's telling Katie, like, go to sleep. It's like, I'm not tired. Take a melatonin then. But like the delivery is blank. And I actually really appreciated that because it's like, okay, this whole thing is a joke. And the things that they're saying that are tongue in cheek, instead of being like, they just have the characters deliver it like flat.
Yeah, like I think one of my favorite moments is when she's like, and we haven't even discussed the implications of having Steven Seagal as a role model. When she's basically like, she's obsessed with Steven Seagal, and Gemma does not like it for good reason.
And I do feel like that, like it is like a tough job, but I do think that Allison Williams is like really who makes the tone shift work, because she's still playing kind of the stick in the mud, but she also has to do some pretty broadly comedic dumb stuff, and she manages to really like balance that kind of pretty impressively.
Yeah, this is one of those rare movies that's of this ilk where every single person knows what movie they're in.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
It no one felt like they didn't know that they were making Megan 2.0.
That's sort of what I was
T2.
going to say when I was talking about that I watched Terminator 2 yesterday. It's very similar in tone a lot of the time, but they don't do joke breaks to lighten the mood. It's very dark, and it's very like it still almost has its roots in horror, but this movie they went in an opposite direction. I saw that quote from Jason Blum, and he was kind of like, we thought we could do the thing where we put Megan anywhere we want, horror, superheroes, sci-fi, futuristic. Turns out that maybe people just want a more grounded horror thing with Megan. But the conceit of the whole idea is that it's basically just Chucky. So like people should have been cool with this. And Chucky is all camp all the time. So
yeah, I have a rant about this. And I had this rant beside Tim about how movies are just horror or bleak. Like there's no other. And so this other podcast that I listen to, they're always doing horror because the numbers are really good with horror. And I think like the movie industry, with it being like basically being held together by like popsicle sticks and sellotape, like there's just I remember used to go and scroll through your Cineplex app or whatever, and it would be like October horror, January stuff no one wants to see, and then comedies, and then your action like blockbusters, and now it's none of that, and everyone's like I hate it. I want a space for this kind of movie, for Fall Guy, like all of these movies that would have made so much money 10, 15, 20 years ago,
literally 20 years ago,
boom, yeah, exactly, are just like bombing at the box office, and it's because everyone's too bleak and scared to do anything fun. And I'm like, can't we just have
there's like a thing, and not to be like old man yelling at cloud, like kids
I'm
these
old man yelling at
days.
cloud.
But like I was looking at the Avatar video game the other day, and I was like, I kind of want to get this because it's on a huge sale right now, and it looks like it'll be really cool. And then I was looking at the reviews, and they're all pretty positive, and I'm like, I'm gonna look at the bad reviews because I want to see what the issues are that people have. And there's a couple people whose bad reviews, 1-star reviews, where the colors are too vivid and you can't turn them down.
That's insane.
I'm like, what? They want everything to look like a Christopher Nolan movie.
But
and you know, like that has its
Star-
those things have their place, but like things are allowed to be bright and colorful and fun as well, right?
Yes, and we saw this with Star Wars. Like watching the Star Wars trajectory and what people like and what people don't like, you can tell this is like how it's laid out. Like everyone likes the really freaking bleak one. Everything else can go suck a whatever. Like
Look, I want to play Mario Kart World and I want to play Death Stranding too. Okay, both things are fine.
that's
Listen,
exactly. No, both things are fine. I just need space for this. And if these movies keep thinking the way that they do, then all I'm gonna get is IP and horror IP.
Yeah.
yeah.
You can't.
I will say that though, one thing that was interesting. I mean, I'll just keep going back to this Jason Blum interview because we only have so much depth. But he did interestingly say, like, for one, it was important to be like, not that people didn't come out to the movies, because he's like, people went to F1. He's like, it was a fine weekend at the movies.
Was this F1 2.0? Is that the Brangelina of the weekend?
Yeah. Oh my god.
F1 2.0.
Megan F1.
Yeah.
I would also watch that. There's also a pretty good cartoon. But he also said that he thought, in looking at just the horror realm, and I don't think directly talking about Megan, but he said that he thought what was changing was also that every movie now needs to be an event. And that was him also talking about, because they've essentially had three flops with Woman in the Yard and Wolfman, and like Wolfman looked like it was pretty bad. I think some people liked Woman in the Yard, but he essentially said that like coming up they've got Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Black Phone 2, which are events. Right. Whereas he said that this one was more just like, hey, it's a fun movie for fun. And
but how come the first one managed to do $181 million on a $20 million budget? Almost like a Halloween situation.
I think it's because it was something new, right? Where it's like a lot of people saw it, a lot of people liked it, and then they don't. But now they don't care, right? They're like, yeah, well, I saw the first one, it's fine. Because a lot of people said it was fine. They didn't say it was amazing. They said it was fine, which I agree. Like, I happen to like it because I like killer dolls. It's fun. It's more than just fun for me. But, you know, this is something that I was genuinely very excited for. But that wasn't the case everywhere. You know, I don't know a lot of people who were like, woo, woo, let's go Megan 2. Like, I need more Megan, you know?
Everybody I told I was going to see Megan said, why?
Wow. Yeah.
I got a lot of I think dolls are really creepy. Like, so that is a thing. Like, there is a whole brain
realm of people
thing where people just do not like dolls because of the way that they look. And Megan very much looks like a doll because she's based on an American Girl doll.
She is a doll, a spooky doll.
I also think that the first one was genuinely like viral. Like that dance thing was, and I don't think that they even intended that. Like, I think people just literally glommed onto a trailer and liked a trailer and liked the idea. And then also the movie was pretty good, which was like helpful. Yeah.
Everything is TikTok. Like everything, like I can't go to a bookstore without people throwing TikTok like books in my face, being like, this is viral. This is viral. This is the bag. This is so like things have to be viral in order to be popular. And of course, people went to see F1 because it's like super trendy if you're a man to like make your personality suddenly I like F1, even though like some of us were watching car racing back in the day and no one was, and you'd be like, why are you weird? Why are you watching stock car racing? It's like, well, I don't know. And now everyone's like an expert, and so they go to these movies to make themselves feel more expert because everyone is so lost in their world right now, drifting. And there's
Tokyo drifting, some would say.
I was gonna say we gotta support our boy Brad Pitt. Just because you choke one of your kids,
just because you choke your whole family on an airplane,
you chase your wife into the airplane bathroom, and the FBI has to come to arrest you. You shouldn't be canceled for beating up your entire family on a plane.
One more word out of you, and I will stick this in my aorta. Your aorta is in your chest.
In your heart. I was gonna say, I was like, that's not right, but I'm not gonna.
That's a Terminator 2 thing.
She's doing a mansplain.
It's from Girl Interrupted. It's Angelina Jolie's line from Girl
2.
Interrupted. How dare you all?
Okay.
Listen, Terminator 2 is also a feminist masterpiece.
It's true.
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
She's even like, I had it. I was gonna get out of here. I was fine, and I'm going. You kind of weren't fine until that those last few seconds when the Terminator busted through. But anyway, Linda Hamilton, great job.
Nice guns.
I didn't know you were talking about for a second, even though it was literally
I
what
was
we were
like
just-
Megan 2.0. I don't know. Yeah.
Girl
Well,
Interrupted,
guess-
or Terminator 2,
Yeah.
Terminator 2.0. So,
Did you guys talk about? Yeah. Did you? You guys kind of went
We
into
didn't
the
really talk
new
about much.
people. I don't think
We
that was
only
it.
got as far as when they met Appleton, and then that's it.
Well, there's the opening scene with the
We talked
Pentagon
about all of that.
facility. You talked about that. Gemma and Katie. It's 2 years later now.
We talked about
And you
that. We
got
talked about
up
how she's obsessed with
to-
Steven Seagal. We talked about we mostly talked about the performances and how the movie doesn't necessarily treat itself like a comedy, as in the characters aren't being like they're just kind of like, this is the world we live in and we have to accept it as reality, which is fun and good.
So I feel like there was some stuff. So you talked about Alton Appleton coming in and that whole.
Yeah,
great
Noel did a
moment.
lot of housekeeping for the story. We're caught up
Okay.
to like the plot.
I've got the army contacts Gemma about Amelia and her rogue status, and Megan is revealed to have survived digitally, and she's in the smart home infrastructure. That's sort of the next section of the movie that I have.
Yes. Fun.
I was
fun
so
smart home
surprised.
fight. I like that.
Yes, I was so surprised that after all of that debacle, that you'd still have a smart system, like a smart home
True.
system. I was like, are these people crazy? That's going to take over now. Like,
But she said she was trying to disable it. She was like,
there's a bunch of yada yada. Of,
right.
Like, the house was very cheap. We don't understand why it was cheap.
Yeah.
Later, you find out it's all Megan orchestrations. But
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, it also did for some good visual comedy, right? Like
Yes.
when the drawer opens and it's a like super wide angle and it's just like like clunkily comes out, like that kind of stuff works for me. And it's also setting things up for later, right? During the fight, all these little things, these little bits of trickery that come into play, which is super fun as well.
Because Megan in the home system can hear them, but also seems to have this intuitive knowledge of them, like probably from her AI programming and all of that, because Gemma goes to, like, doesn't know what I want. The drawer opens and she's like, no, that's not what I was going to do. But she was actually going to go open the drawer when Gemma and Katie are kind of at odds about the smart home system. But I really loved the little swivelly eye and then the text messages that she's getting and how Megan is trying to communicate with them very clearly.
Yeah. Also, we should mention that like exoskeleton suit because it does come into play later on. But
Yes.
she's developing these pieces of wearable tech that will basically like augment the strength and physique and like spine, bone structure, like all this stuff of like a human being, to make them, instead of being replaced by robots, they'll be able to do manual labor for longer or be able to do it without completely destroying their bodies 20 years later. So she's basically trying to like meld tech and humanity in a way that it's like, no, we're not going to replace people. We're just going to make people better. Which is cool and fun and like I guess a better way to think about it. But then you have the flip of that, which you've already discussed, which is Jermaine Clement's character comes in and he's like, I want to be better in every way, including in my mind. You're like,
Yeah,
okay,
and
this-
combining that bio exosuit, the exoskeleton suit with the brain chip.
Mm.
And that's when I'm like, Doc Ock, no, you can't do
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. That's exactly what I thought too. His whole it's melded to his whole spine. And then he's got like what Elon Musk wants MindLink to be, where you have like a heads-up display in your
in
vision,
your eyes, yeah.
which
I
I
think-
really can't get behind, man. I don't know if that makes me some sort of like anti-futurist, but it seems
You're
like
a Luddite.
I'm not. No, I'm a tech person.
No, you're a robophobe.
I'm a robophobe.
Yeah.
No kid of mine's gonna date an android.
Well, they even set that up because he takes a call and then he's just like looking at her and
I
because
sent you a
like we
picture.
can't see the screen exactly,
Yeah.
and then takes a picture with his eyes and it's super creepy and super awkward.
It's also
And it
very
just-
funny because when
It's
he
very
blinks
funny.
hard to take the photo, you hear like a photo click noise from like really far away. Like
But it allows you to play in this sort of chaotic world that some of our tech billionaires envision in this like really interesting combination of like super futuristic technology and then our world kind of overlaid.
yeah. It's also one of those things where like it makes me think of The Simpsons and stuff where comedy writers often when they do something like The Simpsons or something like Futurama, they're like, my favorite characters to play around with in writing this are people like Mr. Burns and Professor Frink, because you can go to this realm of like stuff that doesn't actually exist or hasn't existed for a very long time and make it within this very feasible and almost realistic, to the point that it's like it's more funny because it's only slightly ridiculous, or like it's playing on something that already exists but to a degree that like just makes it that much more funny. And I think that everything that he did, like he clearly had like the plastic surgery pecs and abs and stuff, you know, like where it's like this guy wasn't able to walk not that long ago and he's got a perfect physique. But yeah, like all of those little things, like it's clearly like a satirical take on someone like Elon Musk, right? Like there's no other comparison, really. Not even the other tech billionaire bros are as Elon Musky as this guy seemed to be. He even has like the James Bond villain stuff going on later on, which we'll talk about when we get to it. But
I'm sorry if you can hear my dog. Let me get
I can hear it.
a pacifier.
The dog's,
Sorry, 1 second.
The dog's trying to talk over us.
The dog loves Megan.
Oops,
But
sorry,
yeah.
Lugs. I was punching my keyboard. I was trying to hack the world, hack the system.
I came back in on another thing to put up the chat, and now I can hear myself, and it's the worst.
Oh, dear.
Also, Death Stranding 2 looks good. Also, it's goofy as hell. I feel like it's not the perfect opposite of Mario Kart, because it has dumb shit like dance breaks, and
it has like George Miller, the director, is a Ahab kind of man.
Well, I mean,
a tar submarine or whatever.
Everybody's obsessed with the Ghost in the Shell guy who can't stop obsessively making pizza and pizza
Which
fighting.
I'm very excited to play. Right. And also, I noticed that this game, I was watching some previews for it, and it does have some really colorful moments compared to the first one. That goes like beach, mountain, desert, mountain, snowy, beach. It's all gray and sand colored and white. So
yeah, listen,
I think the complete opposite would be The Last of Us. That would be the complete opposite of Mario
that's
Kart.
a good point. Yeah,
because Death Stranding is just too weird. Like that whole world is too weird for it to not be also like it feels more closer to Mario than a lot of video games, in fact.
But now hear me out. Last of Us Kart.
Okay, yeah.
I'm in. I'm back in. I wasn't out even. I'm just fully in for that.
Meet just super deformed Last of Us characters and Kart.
If it was still the PlayStation 1 or even maybe PlayStation 2 era, that we might get something like that from
totally.
Yeah.
Or there would be like a Crash Bandicoot racing, and the Last of Us characters would show up with giant heads as racers or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell me how long I'm supposed to be in this fugue state while you guys talk about this.
Okay, you play some video games.
What do you mean? We're making up fake video games.
Yeah,
it's fun.
You're fun.
I know. So where were we again? Okay, so this is about the point when the FBI breaks into the house, right, at night.
Yeah.
And
I think we're middle of that, I think.
Yeah. And they set up the smart home enough for us to realize that something's going on here. But then when the house starts helping them beat the fuck out of intruders, that's when we really know. But she gets a phone call, right? Or she makes a 911 call to they're like, well, 911 is your emergency. And they're like, well, I guess you better figure that shit out on your own, right? And then you realize
Megan is like, you're like, Katie's upstairs alone and your first call is this? Like it interrupts the 911 call.
Is this also after somebody questions Gemma? They're like, "How do you have this dope place?"
No, that's after this.
Oh, that's when the military. Yeah. Okay, that's when the.
But I think that even when she makes the call, I think that was always Megan. She was just changing her voice because like halfway, like his tone changes almost to match hers, and then it eventually becomes her voice. Yeah, which I love. That's so fun.
Jesus Christ. But
the drawer opens up and like breaks a guy's neck. There's a lot of like crazy violence that's happening here, but it's then made like comedically made very clear that Megan didn't actually kill anybody. She just really messed people up, like the guy getting tased and the sprinkler going off and basically stopping
fully
his heart.
electrocuted.
Yeah.
And
Takes
where
him
we
out
find
on a
out who
stretcher.
this SWAT team is when he's like, "Don't call the authorities. We are the authorities." And then it shows that no one died, and you're like, "Okay."
Oh, okay. So she's not going to get charged for murder again. Yeah, but it's also pretty funny because it's like, "Ma'am, don't call," because one of them gets folded up into a wall bed, and then you just see the hand come out with like the FBI badge.
So I noticed during the sequence, this movie has a lot of references to other movies. They somehow were able to reference Christine and Home Alone during this, where the TV comes on and is speaking to Gemma by playing little clips of things in sort of like the kidnapper like broken letters thing,
Like Transformers.
or like
Yeah.
Transformers,
Oh,
Bumblebee, or Christine, with the radio as well. But then during this sequence, right after that happens, there's all these like Home Alone traps that are being set up by M3GAN, which you guys already mentioned some of. And the payoff was interesting for that drawer, because earlier in the movie, the little girl, she's trying to connect her device to like the home network. And I think if this never happened, M3GAN would have eventually just gone into her little device that she has the secret coding on.
She's
you know?
making she's trying to make her own robot, but she's using
Yeah.
one of those fart robots from the first movie.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's called I think it was called a perpetual pet,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, no, I know you haven't seen the first one, but it's like a Furby, but you feed it and it like shits
that's
itself.
That's the thing about M3GAN 2.0 is that
Yeah.
like, so I haven't seen the first one for all you people out there, and I don't care because 2.0 gives
really
you
need it.
everything that you need to
Yeah.
know. Like I got what the robot was without knowing what the little robot was. Like it all just
Right.
made sense.
sure.
In that scene though, you're seeing that Katie's trying to program morality into like
Yeah,
it's trying
yeah.
to, and the coding is like, no, that's a task we can't do. And you're like, oh, can they have morality?
That's the thing. Like M3GAN 1 has a lot of pretty hard horror stuff in it, but it still has the almost Robocop style satire and putting a mirror up to current society. Back then it was just like television ads and like, look how ridiculous this all is. But now the way that they do it is like there's a Furby thing that's referenced in this. I think Steven at one point you were like, it's the Furby thing from the first one, because you and Danny had watched it the night before.
Yeah.
Which that's a
I
good
also
thing to
ruined the
parody
movie
and-
for Jason by immediately turning to him and going, "That guy's evil!" Like
That guy's evil.
as he came
I mean,
on screen.
that
And
was
like,
I
very
knew.
obvious.
It didn't ruin. You
like-
keep saying it ruined the movie for me. I knew, and it was mostly because he corrected his name to people on the news.
Christian.
Christian. The name's Christian. But yes.
I think that's why I appreciate this movie so much is that it says, come to me. I'm not going to do anything that hurts you, person. You're just stay, enjoy the ride, hop in. We're just going to have a good time. Okay. Like the stakes are high, but don't worry. Everything's going to be okay. Like this guy's bad. Exactly. This guy's bad. You know he's going to be bad, but don't worry. We're going to be okay.
The stakes are literally the same stakes as Terminator 2, which is insane to me. If they get that omniscient robot out of its Faraday cage, it's going to launch nukes that
But it's funny because
eliminate the humans,
the
basically.
stakes were the same in the first M3GAN, right? Like she had the same parameters in the first movie. She just took her job way too seriously, right? Like she realized that the only way to protect Katie was to essentially remove all threats at all times. And that was there's a moment in the movie where she gets bit by a dog, and it's like there's an implication that maybe that fucked up her brain a bit, and it allowed her to do some stuff that she maybe shouldn't have been able to do. But it never corrects it. Even after they repair her, it's like she's been forever changed at that point. She's like, wait, things can hurt me too? Okay, well, I guess I can hurt things then. And I like it. I like that she's evolved, and I like that she's been living in this house for 2 years, right? Like I think the same amount of time has passed within the movie as in real life. And she's just like, I've just been learning, and it really sucks. I need a body. I need a body so badly.
Theory.
Oh,
I have a theory.
I don't have any buttons abilities.
All right.
I do.
I think that the dog that bit her in the first one is sort of a like cybernetic rabies that she becomes infected.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I don't hate that theory. If it was a robot dog, that would be even crazier. It had robot rabies, robies, and she.
Now Cam's in a fugue state.
Yeah, it's like stop talking about robies.
I mean, robies could also be robot babies.
That's true. It also sounds like a robot gay bar. Come on down to Robies.
I'm in.
So they beat up all the guys, the FBI guys, and then they are then essentially sitting them down in the kitchen to be like, we know that you're working with them or you've done something. You must have given them the files or they stole the files from you because we got this information from somebody else. We don't know who it is though, but it came from you. And she's like, no, I purged all the systems. I got rid of every single file and folder regarding M3GAN. And it couldn't have been me. And that's Jason. This is when they reveal, like, you're living in this fucking giant, beautiful, cool house. He calls it house cool for $3,000 a month. And all your books that you've sold are in a warehouse somewhere. And so there's all these sort of like weird things that are going on. Yeah, it's
you have a best-selling book that nobody's read somehow.
Yeah, M3GAN has been like basically keeping her social media alive as well by like artificially inflating likes and clicks and comments and everything for years to make her seem like she's, you know, this important influential figure and keeping her afloat financially by did you hear the word influential and your eyes perked up because that's your TikTok handle?
You said important influencer, kind of.
I didn't though. I said a person of influence.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines later in the movie, because they don't make this clear either how it got out or what's been going on, and M3GAN clarifies for you later when she says like, oh, you should check your cybersecurity, idiot, on that thing. And then when she's like, Katie doesn't need to know about credit card fraud, about how they got the house.
Yeah. But it's, I thought that was a very cool and interesting way to sort of explain away this type of lifestyle, right? Where they live in this like amazing 2-story, like super modern house that has drawers that open on their own and sprinkler systems that can electrocute intruders or whatever.
I'm watching Angel right now and I'm like, somebody just died in this house and then she got a great deal on it, but she's haunted every night by the ghost that lives there.
Listen, if I could live in a cheap ass house and I just had to deal with a ghost, I'd be fine. Ghosts can't
depends
kill
on
people.
the ghost. Depends. What
Also,
do you mean ghosts can't kill people? That's crazy.
Ghosts, you know, if ghosts could kill people, there would be a lot more dead people, I think.
There are a lot of dead people.
Dying mysteriously.
People are dying right now.
There are more dead people than alive people by percentage margin.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Coincidence?
But if a ghost kills you in its house, then aren't you just gonna fucking be stuck with the ghost? You're
Yeah,
also,
dying
you're also
double
haunting.
ghost.
What?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
haunting with you.
Oh god. It's like I just wanted a pal.
It's like that dumb fuck sitcom Ghosts where everybody that died in that vicinity just lives in a dumb fuck house. Anyway,
Huh.
Well,
Is that
speaking
we're
right?
to
of-
editorialize.
And yet there's 2 very successful versions of it.
Hey, you're right. But it's for boomers. It's boomer
okay.
terrestrial
Well,
television. Do you like the television show Ghosts?
I like the British one. I haven't seen much of the American one, I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. What are
You
you gonna say,
stay.
Noel?
What? We're talking about TV. Do you want to give us a
TV
doll?
podcast?
Do you want to give us a doll report?
Oh, goodness.
Then we
That's
can
what
feud.
Steven comes back to.
No,
So,
what I was saying.
You are the doll
was-
expert.
I am, unfortunately. So what I was saying was this is a very 21st century thing where they actually say like, oh, you have this house because on Friends, in Sex and the City, like how do these women have all these purses in these apartments and how do these people have this on those salaries? So I think we've been conditioned to just like, I wouldn't have questioned it
Mhm.
if they
No,
hadn't
I
been
would've been
talking
fine,
about
yeah.
it. It wouldn't even have.
Also, like tech people, you think she's not gonna lose? She's not gonna lose all her money if M3GAN killed somebody. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm surprised that even went to court.
Yeah, it'll enhance her standing as a tech person.
It's
M3GAN
just a
Gotta
woman.
killed
break a few eggs, right?
M3GAN killed
Well-
4 people, and tried to kill her creator. But I agree. But also, I would have been fine with not all that sort of exposition as well, because that opening montage moment kind of just like shows us that she is a person of success So I wouldn't have questioned it at all. I would have been like, well, she's clearly successful, and she's got like a rich AI boyfriend as well. So like all these things, I would just kind of not even pay attention to it. But I like the fact that they have this little tidbit of information.
Megan's just been fucking with
Yes, I love that shit. And
Yeah.
like I liked Megan a lot in the first movie, and this movie made me love Megan. I'm like, Megan is so cool. I love
Yeah,
Megan so
agreed.
much. Yeah.
Agreed.
I just like that the tongue is so firmly planted in the cheek with basically every aspect of this whole thing. If you strip away all the comedy, it's like not even a movie anymore. It's just like a series of like weird sci-fi kind of stuff. Like what even does that movie
Yeah.
look like if
I
this
think
isn't
there's a lot
more
of-
comedy than anything else?
There's a lot of sort of like techno babble and weird sort of like Jason Bourne movie politics and like science fiction-y actions, espionage movie stuff happening that my brain is like, I'm having a bit of trouble following every single detail of like why this is happening and who do they suspect, because I'm pretty sure they suspected Jermaine Clement's character at one point of being in cahoots with the killer robot. And then there's also like the mysterious aspect of who's in control. And then we introduce a whole other AI that is like maybe the basis for all of this. And like maybe that's what Annabelle wants, or what's her name? Not Annabelle.
Annabelle.
Amelia.
Yeah.
Another killer doll from another universe. The James Wan universe. There could be an Annabelle Megan crossover.
It's
It
still
is
a Blumhouse.
Yeah, but also James Wan created both. He could potentially make two dolls fight. I'm just saying, two haunted dolls. Megan is a
Jason
haunted doll.
versus Freddy.
Listen, if he wants
Yes.
to make if they want to make that money back, they put Megan in the Annabelle's in the Insidious universe, I think, or the other one. That's not.
I think he's got the Nun. He's got all that shit. But like,
there's a whole like
yeah,
MCU of movies.
It's one of those things that he's like, I'm open to the idea of it all being within one universe. I think Cam knows a little bit more about this than I do.
In Insidious 4, the new one, there's like he goes into a room where the Annabelle doll's there and like a bunch of other shit from all those movies are in
Is
there.
it Malignant as well, right?
Yeah.
I was hoping Malignant was going to show up in this movie. Just be in there for some reason.
I didn't watch a single trailer for this film, to go back to my brief history, and I was still ready for there to be horror elements. I was still ready, but then about 25 minutes in, I was like, this is an action comedy. You know?
Yeah. I think I messaged all of you guys the day I saw the Megan 2 trailer, and I was like, we got to go see this, right? Like, come on, guys. This looks amazing. I think even I sent you. I was like, Megan 2, you see the trailer? You want to
I
watch
said
it?
it's me too, because I think you and I watched the trailer the same day.
Right.
In fact, I had Mind Prison horror. I'm going to the theater for the first time to see a horror movie with nerves all day. Like I'm finally going to see a horror movie in theaters. I've still never done that. I want to see 28 years later, and I got this like chest flutter. This butterflies.
I would rather eat paint than go see that movie.
I want to see it. I want to see it a lot.
Yeah,
I heard there's big flopping wieners in it.
There's
too.
big flopping everything in it. Apparently, it's the meme.
Cam gives
the
a
meme
thumbs
from
up. He's like,
28
they
years.
are big.
I agree.
So to add a woman thing here, how you know that this world doesn't is completely made up is that the potential tech billionaire smart person is a woman, and she is being listened to and has a best-selling book about anti-AI, and no one seems to have a problem with this. Like that would just not happen that way.
I will say that I think that they make a joke that her book is actually not best-selling, and that was a Megan thing.
No.
They're like, why is there
they
thousands of copies of your book?
Yeah, so we know that the book isn't a bestseller, but if you put it in the real universe for a second, and a lady was saying like, "Oh, we're anti-AI," what would the backlash against that be? It would be massive. It would be massive backlash, and it didn't seem like, so maybe the book didn't sell, but it didn't seem like the public opinion of her was negative because of that. It was negative because she killed people, right? Sure. And you're holding a woman tech billionaire versus someone who is implicitly killing people all the time, but not in the most obvious 4 people died kind of way, and how like this is totally fine, and that is a huge problem. But they didn't treat her like a woman in tech. And that's kind of what I appreciated about it. They just went with, this is just a thing and a person, and they had her interact with. It gave me very much like Alien kind of vibes, where you write the character for a man and then you just put a woman in it.
Yeah.
In the role instead. I don't think like that's clearly not what happened here, but they wrote the character like a person and not like a woman in. But then you have the complex relationship of her trying to become a mother to Katie while she's so disconnected. It's actually quite a nice commentary on motherhood and how women in the world now feel about motherhood and their places and their roles in that. As that caregiver versus our mothers and our grandmothers, and how that has changed so much. So
yeah,
and
I
can
will
get into
say
that later.
that the motherhood stuff is actually kind of an odd repeat of the first movie, which was a lot of that, because she's like her sister's child. Megan kills her sister and
Yes.
yeah, the parents. So,
But we don't get the "you're not my real mom" trope.
no,
It wasn't
a little
Megan.
bit
They
more
just
in the
died.
first, but-
Megan
They
was
just died.
Megan was created
oh,
after.
I thought that
death.
Megan was the thing that distracted them.
No, it's just the
No, she
Doesn't
was
it
playing
like-
with some app. She was
No,
playing
no.
with some AI app.
Hey, I watched it 2 days ago. You want me to tell you what
I don't
happens?
know. I don't
They
know.
stop in the.
I'm
they-
telling you what I remember, Steve.
Yeah,
Jesus.
They
same.
stop. Okay, they stop in the middle of the
Well,
road.
you don't need
because
to act like I'm some asshole.
There's no. I was Jason was trying to answer you, but he was saying the wrong thing.
We don't have
That's
to act like you're an asshole.
No, he
You are
treated
an
me
asshole.
like I'm the asshole. But I'll
Okay.
take it because I'm
They
used
stop
to
in
it.
the. They stop in the middle of the road because there's a snowstorm, and then they get hit by a snowplow. That's how they die. There's no distraction. It's just
Yeah,
they
weird.
stop because the snow is too heavy. And Megan is then created as a. Well, they're already working on her, but they don't understand the full implication of her yet. And and she decides that she's going to use this as a companion toy to try and help her deal with the grieving process. And then Megan learns too hard, too quickly, and becomes evil. But,
It's
yeah.
outsourcing parenting, so it's like a crazy
Yeah.
horror version of having your kid on an iPad too much, and the amount of like tension that's when is baby's first screen time, like at what age do we give them this, at what age do we give them social media, and these are this is like parents now are Magellans in this world of now there's a different technology that kids are exposed to, and how do you parent through that? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the analogy that I'm drawing with Megan. Like you're trying to parent through this killer robot. Like it's different, but you get what I'm saying. And if you're a working woman the way that she is, you don't have time to care for your child. You're not set up for this. And like a lot of people are choosing not to be mothers, and then they end up having to mother anyway because of what society tells you to have kids and to do all the thing. So there's a complication there.
Right.
But there was one moment that I caught that I thought was like the most emotional part of the whole movie to me, and I went is when she actually calls Kate, like Gemma calls Katie my child,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah,
that's the bond that like they've created. But I'm jumping ahead.
Well, I wanted to say that Chucky 2019, I feel like if it had not flopped, like if it had done well enough to get like a huge blockbuster sequel like this, they could have just done the same movie with that Chucky doll and it would have been just as good.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that was like a lot of people's sort of opinion of the first Megan movie was that it was a better remake of the Chucky remake than the Chucky remake was, right? Like it was doing all the same things just in a better way, where it's like the Chucky remake was, what if your Furby decided to kill you? Whereas Megan was like, what if your Furby could also take care of you emotionally and genuinely want to protect you and be a
Right.
companion in your life?
And then kill everyone else.
And
I
teach you
really
things.
hated
Yes, exactly.
I really hated that Chucky 2019 was because of a disgruntled employee.
Yeah,
just, like,
I was gonna
taking
say
the
I
internship
like
off.
that it was like you got this thing set to evil. Yeah, why not?
I wanted Charles Lee Ray somehow to be,
Well,
put
there's your
into
problem
this.
right there. You got this thing set to.
I mean, that was also the weird like split between the Child's Play name and the concepts involved. Right
Right, yeah.
split.
That seems to be the case with all of those sort of 80s and 70s horror movies that are being remade. It's like you can have the name or the everything else. It's like I guess we'll take the name. Yeah.
Like Freddy was god awful, dude.
Yeah.
Like just
We're
took
gonna
all
do it
the
on the
fun
show
out of
one
it.
day, Jason. We'll have a nice 3-hour episode of us just taking shits like,
Yeah.
over and over again.
Putting it under a microscope and just anyway,
Yeah.
that's not this. This is a very well-made film for the fans. This was
Yeah.
made for all of us who like the elements of the film and also like the previous film, even if you haven't seen it, it worked.
Yeah. Well,
which
I
is
think
incredible.
like to build off of what Cam and Noel were both saying is like that moment in the movie was genuinely pretty touching to me as well, because it stood out to me very heavily. I'm like, oh, she considers Katie to be her child, not her niece anymore. Because in the first movie, she just says my niece, my niece, my niece, my niece. Whereas in this, she's like, no, she's my daughter. Like that's what it is now. And what you were saying about it being sort of they're repeating it, but it does feel like it's a natural progression as well. Like
Sure.
if you watch the first one to this one, it does feel like there's been 2 years and there is some development there, and they do have normal arguments now, whereas like their arguments in the first movie are tense and frightening because Megan is there watching the entire time, right?
Yeah, and I mean the tension is more about like she's growing up and like should be allowed to do more. And I mean I don't think that they even like they're not painting Gemma as somebody who's horribly traumatized by the events of Megan necessarily,
right?
Because I think you'd probably be a worse helicopter parent if your child
absolutely.
Also...
But they do give her some they show her like staring at the ceiling in bed and being afraid. Like she's trying to put on, you get the vibe that she's trying to put on a brave face for Katie and is afraid that Katie is following in her footsteps and is so good at this tech stuff and is so interested in the AI and it was so connected to Megan. So there's that tension there of like, normally you see this in like every single movie is about fathers and sons, and this trope and this tension is used with like the father character and the son character in like 90% of movies. So it was just basically like plugged into this in a way that I didn't say like, oh, they're using that trope. It just felt natural.
Yeah. And I mean, and there's that like really, really kind of beautiful moment near the end where Megan is confronting Gemma about how she is like, you're better for Katie than I am. And like, and here's why. And she like lists like, I've been watching you for 2 years and you're doing every single thing right. It might not feel like you are, but you are. And like, she brings up very specific examples. Like a bad parent doesn't lie awake for 45 minutes a night, just staring at the screen, thinking about something like this, or like Googling how much gluten to have on like 4 times a week or whatever.
How to not psychologically damage my child.
Yes.
He says at one point. Like, I was up Googling just like how not to fuck up a kid.
I got pretty misty at that point too, because it's like you could and like that's a testament to Allison Williams' performance. Is like you can see in her face like the realization that like, oh, maybe I am good. And then you could also see the regret in her face of like, maybe I shouldn't have put a bomb inside Megan. Like, maybe Megan's also kind of cool. My friend, maybe.
Well, yeah, like she becomes family. And that's something that Megan reveals, that Amelia is looking for her family. Like when you think that she's rogue, the reason she's looking for the Xerox chip, which we haven't talked about, we should probably mention, is because she's looking for her family. And then it gives you the idea of them actually bonding with Megan once she gets a body. But before that, there's a party and a cute robot. And then we have the Xerox.
Well, before we get to the party, I want to talk a little bit about the cool scene where when Megan finally contacts Gemma, she's doing this thing where she's jumping from like TV to like, I don't know why this was actually kind of silly to me. Why does Gemma have so many of those like TVs that are just made to show paintings? I guess that would be. They have like no bezel and they are just made to show pictures. She has so many around the house. Is it because Megan is like, I'm going to need a way to
showed up? Like Amazon packages, like gifts from somebody, or just like directed to, or you bought.
Or they were there when she moved in.
Yeah, exactly.
With the house.
No,
like
she's on
Megan.
She's on the phone being like, they're bolted into the wall. I can't get them out. And the guy on the phone's like, I'm sorry, miss. Those are load-bearing TVs. We can't remove those. But it's actually Megan talking to her.
Yeah. And as that's happening, it's kind of a big reveal to Gemma that Megan's been this sort of guardian angel kind of character. She kind of reveals her whole conceit. And then is this the point where she reveals the secret lair, or is that a little bit later?
No, that's
the guy
much later.
Yeah.
Then in that case, she tells her about the upcoming party, and
They
Gemma
essentially,
reluctantly,
yeah, they know that that Jermaine Clement is going to be targeted next.
and Megan wants a body, but they put her in one of those like, we have real world versions of those things. They're things with the little face.
She calls it a Teletubby, and that is pretty accurate. It does look like a Teletubby.
Yeah.
And it's
They're
so
called, like, My
cute.
Bots or something like that.
I like
you
its
get
little,
like the big eyes.
Yeah.
And I think this is where it really isn't a horror movie, and this is where it pets you on the head and is like, just go with it. Is that it makes you really, instead of giving you Megan the doll, the creepy thing, it gives her in text format, and then you put her in this really cute thing that's like a tiny little it looks like Eva from WALL-E.
Yeah.
And
There's that, those robots
with
from
the
WALL-E.
really animated eyes, and like you feel pathos for the character now. Like it's not creepy. You're dealing with a little voice.
Also,
in the
like you
face.
said, like her really super expressive eyes and like her tiny little mouth. Like it's like that moment when it turns around to like think for a second and it does like a crazy like thinking face. I'm like, okay, this is amazing.
The real one is called Moxie. That
Moxie.
is like the actual product they're using.
There's a lot of
they
products.
did call it Moxie in the movie, and I remember because that was the name of my dearly departed dog. Felt bad.
Well, you can get one for your child for a mere $800 US.
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
There's a lot of technologies in this movie, I will say, that are based off real concepts. That the exoskeleton is like a real thing that I've been hearing about for 20 years that I don't think is commercially available, but does exist. The mind chip thing Elon Musk is actively working on. He allegedly has put it in
monkeys.
Yeah. And these little technologies, these little toys and things have either existed or will exist. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Megan style toy come out and everybody goes, that's a bad idea. I'm sure it won't kill anybody. It won't go on a murderous kill spree. Not for a few years anyway. But yeah, I like that this franchise is sort of playing with the idea that it is set now, but in a now where all these fantasy technologies we've been hearing about for the last 20, 15, 10 years just exist. And they're very easy to build and manufacture as long as you're a tech genius, I guess.
I was watching an interview with Allison Williams today, and it was interesting that when they made the first movie, she had to really dig for experts on AI and people to really explain things to her and help her get into the mindset of somebody who could potentially be the creator of a new version of this, as opposed to this movie where she was like, I could just go on the internet and it would like everything is there now. Like 3 years ago, it was so hard to find any information to like help me make this more believable. But now
I can ask.
Even my mom knows about it. Like, you know, it's like everybody knows. To the point that when I rewatched the movie, I didn't realize how much of what they're talking about in that movie is now just commonplace for everybody to use, right? Like super easily accessible. You can get a subscription to basically your own Megan in text format, you know? It's
in several different versions.
Freaky.
You can get the sex version or just like the companion version, which is scary.
Who may or may not tell
well,
you.
We all know that Soulmate movie is definitely going to be about a sex robot, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That's yes, you're right. And I would never have thought about it. I would
like the movie
thought
Her,
it would be more Lars and the Real Girl type thing.
The movie Her was such a fantastic thought 10 years ago, but like you can basically just do that now, right? I would assume not. Not to that level.
It's gone bad a lot. There's the weird guy who got engaged. There's the guy.
How do I not know anything about this stuff?
It's probably for the best. It's all sad.
You don't really.
All the stories that come out are like his
Do
AI
I
girlfriend
too much
told him
time?
to suicide by cop. You know. It was bad. That's a real one. It's a real one.
It's real.
Yeah, I know about it. That's the worst thing that's ever been said on the show, possibly.
Here are your your options, PP.
Yeah, that's thank you, Noel. I can also almost guarantee you that it's not. I was gonna say that there is also a bad Megan exploitation called Subservience with Megan Fox as a sex robot.
Oh, that's like pretty new too, right?
So this has all gone
It's
to
the
sex
sister
robot?
movie.
I mean,
Oh my God.
I think she's like a mom companion robot that maybe falls in love and turns evil.
So what I appreciate about this movie is that it doesn't sexualize either of the robots, while like Amelia is like a very conventionally attractive shape.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the moment that it does sexualize her, she immediately kills the guy, which is good. Like, I like that too.
Yes, and then M3GAN is treated like like an underage person.
She is infantilized,
Which
which I think is necessary.
Because
But then
she was a
they make her
children's doll.
age her up a bit though, from a kid to teen, and she even has a little bit of like her the way she acts changes. She's like, I'm all grown up kind of vibe.
But she's a teenager now. She's like,
not in a sex way. Not I'm not doing this
well, I mean, just how'd you pump the brakes there, Jason?
Most characters don't go, I'm all grown up.
But she's still
she says it.
All right.
Well, that's their show for tonight. God damn it.
I didn't know Jason could put his foot so far in his own mouth. It's crazy.
I will
ankle
also say,
deep.
I think part of it is literally it is the same actress, young child actress portraying her, so she probably got taller and more teen.
Right.
And she wanted to be taller, which is great because you have Amelia now, who is this like adult character, and I think it's good growth. And she has some agency in what she looks like now. She's not just a created thing. She asks for her regular face back. Gemma says like, "Oh, when we're rebuilding you, we have to give you another face because you're the most famous killer robot in the world." And she says like, "You change my face, I'll change yours."
Yeah. I want my ridiculous giant head on a regular human body, which I
But then
was
she
laughing
also
to myself about the whole time.
she also gets her bulletproof jacket, like the John Wick upgrades. Like she gets her own like body upgrades as well, which I always appreciate that about like the world building episode, or like world building movie, which is so much simpler. And then when you get to the next one, it's like super souped up so that we can actually defeat that thing. Or like, like he's getting older now, we should probably give him a bulletproof jacket because Keanu Reeves not moving the way he used to be.
It also kind of did the superhero sequel trope where they lose their powers in the sequel. So this movie felt very superhero-y a lot of times to me.
We actually, when you were out, Jason, we were talking about how like there's multiple Iron Man sort of montagey moments in this movie that just feels like it's directly pulled from the first Iron Man movie, and in a good way though too. It's not like it doesn't feel like they're not aware of what they're doing. You know, like they even do like the like. You know, like he turns to the camera and it's like steaming, and I'm like, yeah, this is Iron Man, and I'm okay with it.
And I like that it's the three of them, but yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are. I think we're right around the part where she's got to. She realizes she's got to seduce Jermaine Clement, which I'm so excited for. And then, but there's a moment where I'm like, I really wanted there to be a scene where she has to do that, but I also really like the moment where she's like, if you can just get us through there, then we can absolutely skip the seduction scene, which just felt like a D&D thing to me. I'm like, yeah, this is so good.
You can completely bypass this section if you just go to take his key card to the door. Yeah.
I really like that they didn't do that because that would have been pretty terrible for me. Like I like that they're not hitting those tropes with these two or with these three characters. Like there's three primary female characters being treated like human beings, and then like the fact that they just skip that.
Yeah, and like there's something. So it reminded me a little bit of the sequence in Mars Attacks where Martin Short takes the alien woman back to the White House to hit,
and he's going nuts on her, and she's just like
exactly like you never at any point feel in danger for the woman in the scene. You actually feel the opposite, where you're like, this guy's gonna die, and it's probably gonna be pretty great.
Yeah.
Where like the pervert is the one in danger, has no realization how much danger they're in, and then they pay dearly for their perverse behavior.
Yeah, and they also don't like necessarily lay on thick. You don't hear of the horrible pervert crimes that this guy's committed. You just know that he likes ladies a little in a weird way.
Yeah, he has a chair that flips around.
Sure, yeah. Which is I mean, a lot is implied, but they don't make it.
Well, when Amelia goes in and reads him, like it says like likes them like dumb and
Likes
young.
them young. He said it.
and-
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like you see it on the screen and you see it through Amelia's eyes. So she creates herself to be that thing, like that
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
Which I didn't mind. Like I didn't mind that Amelia was the seductress in this because it's like
Well, because you never fear for her, right? Like you're never gonna be.
no, it's like there's the Transformers version of it, the seductress robot, which is super weird and awkward, and like you can see
This
that
is
it's
where I go
being-
into fugue state. I'm like, I don't have fucking seen any of
It's
those
from
movies.
like the third
Transformers
one.
3, I think.
Yeah, it's from the third one, and it's so awkward, and it's just there so that the director can get his rocks off or something. Like
Yeah.
this one is like there's a point to it, and the fact that she's going this route because it's just like the easier robot way to do it, and then Gemma and M3GAN are infiltrating in a more traditional infiltrating kind of way is like I like that. It works.
I
for
got
Me
a,
too. Yeah.
I
and
got
it's
an absolute,
not hot. It's awkward. as fuck.
No, it's super awkward.
It's mostly just funny when he rips his shirt up and he has comedic plastic muscles on his body. It's so.
Oh
funny
no,
to
sorry.
me.
I meant the Transformers one.
Oh,
Is awkward and weird, and this one is like funny and makes sense with the story.
I got a super Black Mirror level horror moment out of this sequence though. When she takes his vision and he's seeing
Reverses
her
it?
view of him,
Yes.
that was some Black Mirror shit, and it was so well done that I was like, oh, there are still horror things in this.
yeah.
They're just
He
very
took
subtle.
over his eyes.
It was
Yeah.
very a lot like Silence of the Lambs too, because he can't see what's happening.
But what I thought it was is that he could see through her eyes.
yes,
So
but
he was
he's like tripping because he can't figure out his
Yeah,
own
because he
body
can't see
space.
his own spatial
Yeah, it
awareness.
would be like somebody filming you with a camera from a weird angle and you trying to navigate.
Like you're
with-
suddenly in third
yeah.
person.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
I
view
can't
is
even
you.
look at myself in this little thing
Yeah.
if I flip it. I'm like, where's my head doesn't work like that. No, that's not where the hair usually.
poke myself in the eye.
You might have
But-
mirror mode on too, which fucks me up when it's
Oh,
mirrored.
Yeah, that's I like won't put it in mirror mode. But a part of that I liked when Amelia was seducing or successfully had seduced Appleton was how long it takes him to pull back and be like, wait a second, do you not want to have sex with me after like slobbering on her for a very long time? And I was just like,
moving at all. Yeah.
yep. And he that's fine. It's like, well, that's not an exaggeration.
I
of
like that she
reality.
kicks him across the room, like all the way, and he's like, "Wait a minute, something's not right here." Like, yeah, she kicked you across a full room, bro. I did also like that it showed just how much like weird power and control he has. Like he creates that sort of rolling blackout for a moment where it's like the whole city's power goes off for maybe like 2 seconds or whatever, and he goes like, "Oops," which is like, okay, so this guy is not just like powerful within his own circle. He controls. He has the potential to control this entire city, even. So the reasons to believe that he can control much more beyond that.
And he says that people are telling him that this is too much power for one man, which is why he hasn't told anybody about this particular, like, little fun thing that he has.
Mm-hmm. And then he gets his spine ripped out, and it's fucking
was
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's got like I don't know if we explained it for those listening, but he's sort of like in a wheelchair, but it's like a very comfy looking wheelchair. And there's a revelation that like, oh, he can stand because of his neural implant. And then before the party starts, he's like, the only reason I actually made this implant is because I just want to dance. And he starts like dancing around or whatever. And you're like, okay, very good. But then you see
it's also such a shitty tech bro presentation thing. They all like to think they're making a joke that nobody likes, and everyone's like, ha ha ha. ha.
yeah,
You're a billionaire.
it's kind of like the old like we need to bring comedy back. I mean,
Yeah.
cancel comedy.
You should have put on a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm cutting the national debt.
It was very
Listen,
much that.
I wanted
And,
to say something about his wheelchair. You know those self-driving cleaning devices you see in like malls?
Yeah,
It looked like they hollowed one of those out to make his wheelchair. I don't know, that's probably not true, but it looked like a garbage, like some sort of garbage can Like
it reminded me of like
very funny.
Professor X's chair, but like a shittier version of
like
it.
a terrible, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a stylish, like neo mod luxury, like leather chair.
It looks
Like
comfortable. Yeah.
It looked like a particular mod design, like the kind of thing that you'd go to the MoMA and they have like all the chairs throughout history that have been designed, and that's like one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's what it looked like to me.
That's
but
probably
I
what he
also-
did. He's like, I like that one. Make that into my wheelchair, my hover chair, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Except he wouldn't say
Amelia,
please.
no, he would say now.
Yeah.
Amelia, I guess she escapes. I don't know what the robot's pronouns are. But Megan leads Gemma, Katie, Cole, Tess to the underground bunker now. So that's the next little bit.
Yeah,
and I
'cause
really
Amelia's
like,
gotten she essentially has access to all the networks in the world.
yes,
yeah.
she stole his eye power.
I
Copy
really-
his eye.
Yeah. his
I
retina.
really liked the reveal of the bunker because Steve, the thing about Christiane was fine where you're like, that guy's evil. Later, moments later, you were like, I hope she has a secret lair. And that one was a little bit like, that feels like a spoiler. God damn it, I wasn't thinking of that. She does,
Because
in fact, have a secret lab.
As soon as they turn and like the thing opens, like I'm like, holy shit! If she has a secret laboratory, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be so fucking happy right now. And then she did.
Of course she did. But I
So
really like that you see almost a ghost of Megan in that, like.
Hold on, we're skipping the fact that she hijacks a crazy like Lamborghini and drives the fuck
Oh,
out of
yeah.
there.
Oh, that whole sequence.
Plays the
Yeah,
Knight Rider theme song. Yeah.
That's true, yeah. The
'Cause
only
the-
recognizable song in the whole movie. I'm like,
The
they have
reason
no
they
licensed
do-
music in this movie.
I love the Knight Rider theme. Like the only reason that Gemma and the guy, what's the guy, the only man's name in this whole movie?
Christian.
The good, no, the
Cole?
good guy. Yes,
Cole, yeah.
So the only reason that they need to be in the Appleton thing is because they need the information about. They need more information on Amelia, so they plug Megan into the server to try and get whatever information they can use against Amelia. So it's like a fact-finding thingy, and Cole doesn't know that they're on the same side. So when they're driving the car, it's Megan driving the car.
Yes.
And it's like, why is Megan driving the
Yeah.
car?
This is
Right, yeah.
Megan tried to kill me.
Yeah, and they also briefly just try to be like, it's just a different robot. Don't think about it too much.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's Megan 2.0. It's a
I do
newer
like,
version.
yeah, both how he figures it out pretty quick, and also how Megan Allison Williams was immediately like early on, like, oh, it's Megan, like not some other robot, it's Megan.
Yeah, it's Megan.
Yeah.
There is also like a weird sort of sub point where he's maybe working for Jermaine Clement, like he's gone there to accept a job because they're bleeding money, and he's like, I am so poor, like I need
Which is-
to work somewhere else.
Oh,
Which
I
is why
misread
he has
that.
the access card.
Yes,
I thought
yeah.
that he went there to. I think he's lying when he's like, I came here to broker a deal, and it's
Yes.
like, what are you talking? Okay, but he was there to
Yeah.
get a job, right?
That's why when
He's
she grabs
already
the
on the
access card,
payroll.
she's like, "You already have an access card." He's like, "Well, it just gets me food and stuff." It's like,
Yeah.
"You work here already, you son of a bitch."
He very clearly works there. You don't get an access card without at least
Yeah,
Mm.
a
you
payroll.
have to have signed a
True.
contract of some sort. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you think you can walk in there without signing the NDA? Like,
I worked at Electronic Arts, had an access card, and they still didn't give me the free food. I was on such a crummy roll.
You got to go to the room before craft services.
Yeah, you can
I got
see
to
through the
I got
glass,
to
like, boom,
pay, I got to
Can I
pay
have
for
some
the
cereal?
food that the other people got for free. is what I
That's
know.
this is going to be hard for most people who are listening to this because they haven't seen Megan. So if you're like confused and ready to turn it off, stick around and go see it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And go watch our episode from last year where we covered this film.
Yeah, stick around.
I think that this next part coming up is my favorite part of the movie. The secret lair is, I think, my favorite collection of moments in this movie. I think comes out of this.
So I'll give you a broad overview. It's basically inside the bunker, Megan reveals Amelia's goal: locate and activate a 1980s rogue AI motherboard in isolation from Xenox Labs. It just turns out that this company happens to make printers and Xerox machines. I know that's a brand name, but basically it can merge with all global systems. And they had to take this chip and put it in a Faraday cage because when they were testing it and putting it in these robots that were like a 1980s version of like a home android, think the robot from the Rocky 4 or Rocky 3,
Or like Rosie the robot from the Jetsons.
yeah, it just turned out that like it could do its household chores better if the humans weren't even there. So it took nerve gas and killed them all. And then I guess through the movie we find out that it's been left on for so long that it's become omniscient. It's basically a god.
Yeah, they can't turn it off for some reason. I don't remember why they.
I think that they were
turn it off.
interested in keeping it around.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they could have
it's
EMP'd it
evil.
at any point,
Yeah.
but instead locked it away because they didn't know what to do with it. Because they didn't know what to do with it. And then a scientist did something with it because they didn't ask if they should, you know, like they never stopped to ask.
There's a great moment later in the movie where they disable the exoskeleton robot by literally pouring water on it.
Yeah.
And I used to watch this podcast called Dudesy. They ended it, but it was basically the AI did all the prompts for the show, right? And who's the goddamn guy? Who's the bald guy from TV? Will Sasso. So there's one guy who was like pro AI, and Will Sasso was like, I'll just pour water on it if it ever gets out of hand. That's kind of like the funny part about this movie. They could have just poured water on the chip in the 80s, but they didn't. They kept it around, and through doing that, of course, it multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, and it becomes basically a god.
I do think that's such a cool
you have
idea.
your own island of dinosaurs that are just roaming free.
It's true. The chip is a dinosaur island, 100%.
Yeah,
it is.
They accidentally, and they always have accidentally another dinosaur island they forgot about.
Or they make a dinosaur sanctuary that still has an evil plot behind
we
it.
forgot about Site B and then Site D, where we keep all the really dangerous ones. That's what the D stands for. Danger
Also, we've been
Island.
breeding them all with each other to make even more deadly things that we want to sell to the military.
Dinosaurs that didn't even exist.
Those dinosaur world movies are great. They're not.
Maybe I'm overthinking it because I've read way too much degree Baudrillard. The photocopying machine being the source of all of this AI evil is just kind of funny because like a facsimile is like the simulacra, like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. And so you lose what oh my goodness. you lose what the original thing was. And for the Xerox machine to have created that chip and then lose what the point of it was, and then have it spiral so that it's been photocopying itself and like being so different from what it was. And then you have something like M3GAN or Amelia that are like facsimiles of a human, right? But there's such a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy that they cease to be and then are the most evolved. Like they're more real than a human. Like I really like that. I don't know. They probably didn't intend for it to be, but I was like, photocopier. I get it.
You never know. But yeah, I liked it too that it was just like, you know, it's the usual, like we got to go back to the ancient roots, but like the ancient roots of a robot is a photocopier.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah.
But they might be smart. They might have a degree like you, Noel.
Maybe.
The writer's Australian, so I don't know. Do we give him that much credit?
I mean, we're Canadian, so
I guess that's true.
They're the Canadians of the South Pacific.
We're like, Canadians are like if you took British people and American people and put them on an island and made them breed like a dinosaur island. A dinosaur island, yeah.
Yeah, we all just ride dinosaurs here for any of Americans.
I'm starting that rumor for Americans, and they'll believe it.
I was thinking about, so like when they first go into the lab, come down to the lab. And then they go down there
on the slab.
Yeah. But they go down there and there's like clearly an AI generated like painting of M3GAN and Katie. Like it's like it has all the sort of telltale signs of an AI generated painting. And I'm like, this is the one time an AI generated painting can be in a movie and it's absolutely amazing. Like
Like,
any other
perfect.
time where you see it, and you're like, "Ugh." I
I
was
hope we
kind of
go back
hoping there
and
would be like
rewatch
a.
it.
I was hoping there would be like a sixth finger or something. Like if you look
Yes.
really close, there's like all the telltale signs of an AI painting.
I will say,
yeah.
weirdly, the IMDb page, instead of poster art, it is the painting.
Is
which
it?
I,
Oh,
I
really?
find odd and charming. Yeah.
That's so funny. But it's details like this that's why it astounds me that they're like lamenting how short a time they were able to work on it, because it felt like everything was intentional. Like it
was
didn't
good,
feel
yeah.
like anything was just thrown in. Like there's more shit thrown in a Marvel movie that they've been working on for 20 years
Oh,
than
yeah.
there was in this. Like everything made sense. Everything was there and thought through. And
Yeah.
even if they hadn't thought it through, it worked out because I thought they thought it through.
Well, for sure. Like even Jason, what you said earlier about how like it didn't feel like comedy breaks or moments that are so disconnected from the movie itself, that felt like they were just there because that was thought of before the rest of the movie was, which is like almost every Marvel movie you see now. It's like now the video game cutscene happens where it's just them punching and punching and punching and falling down a cliff or whatever. And like, you know, this movie didn't feel like that. It felt like everything was appropriately placed and the pacing was good. It did. I think it did get a little long by the end, where I'm like, oh no, we're too many endings. I feel like this could have ended already. Come on, end it. But
Just as I was getting worried, it did end.
yeah,
So I was like, okay.
me too. Like I was
Namaste.
getting to that point where I'm like, I need to get out of here, or lest
Yes.
this become a simulacrum.
There
It did
you
also
go.
make me it did also make me think about how, like, you're talking about the photocopier being that copy of a copy of a copy. When you ask AI to redo a picture over and over and over again, it eventually just turns into like a blob person. Like the person like slowly goes like
It's so
they'll
weird.
change
Yeah.
race
I
like
mean-
5 times and then gender like a million times until they
I
just
And also, it
did-
goes from like realistic to cartoon to
Yeah.
like blob. Yeah.
I did like they didn't like in truth that the evil photocopier AI is kind of just like a MacGuffin thing, but I did like the idea where Megan was just like, that thing's been like AI hallucinating for 40 years, like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
will it even be? They
Yeah.
kind of just make it a fun bad guy.
Yeah.
But
During this sequence too, like Megan explains what's happening, and Gemma even accuses her of AI hallucinating. She's like, "That's not real. It's an AI hallucination."
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
I
she's
think
like,
all-
I've been alone for 2 years and
Yeah.
see what happened to me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I also like that. I think she's implying that the like fun video she shows is made up by AI, which I thought was funny as well.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to bust in and say,
yeah.
according to AI, I'm dipping in myself. There isn't a single universally recognized top Baudrillard scholar in Australia, but a few have made significant contributions to his study.
Well, there you go.
Thank
The
you.
number one figure they name is not even Australian. They're like, but I think his theories are used a lot in Australia. Great.
I mean, it's seriously used a lot.
What I'm saying is, I think you could take them. I think you could take them.
All right. I got this. My cultural studies reader is still over there.
Very
Yeah.
good.
During this sequence too, we haven't talked about the fact that another kind of horror moment, but a tongue-in-cheek horror moment, is when Megan's revealed. She comes out from around the corner on this like rickety like
Oh
set
yeah.
of wheels, and
Yeah.
her hair's just like wires, and just her face.
She looks
without
like
the-
Emperor Palpatine in the Rise of
Yeah.
Skywalker. You know, like,
And I laughed so fucking hard at that because of it being self-referential to like its horror roots almost.
yeah.
It's supposed to be this horrifying, disgusting monster, but we've already been through an hour of this movie of
And
comedy.
she looks less frightening than she did at the end of the first Megan.
Yeah.
When- at the end of the first Megan, the front of her hair gets ripped off by another robot, and she looks like Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like she's like walking around with this like
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
bald spot on top of her head.
And she gets a crazy like wound, like a Chucky style wound across her face too. And there's a scene where she's choking Gemma, and it keeps showing her face, and she's making the like crazy Chucky face. We don't really get any of that in this. We get a funny
And she also
version
gets her
of that
face
later.
ripped off completely, so it's just 2 pinpricks of light, just like
Yeah.
I think they showed a couple times in this movie.
Yeah.
I get
Well, this
very Airplane vibes from a lot of the scenes that Megan is in, because we find out that she's actually been rebuilding herself because Katie and Gemma have an argument about what they're going to do, because Katie's like, we have to save the people that are up there, and anyway, whatever. And Gemma's like, we're not going to rebuild Megan. And so she goes into a room that Megan has built that's exactly a facsimile of her room upstairs. It's like, I put everything that you like in here. And that's when we see that Megan's been rebuilding herself, and she says like, it's I can only do so much with 3 hands, and then her little like extra claw comes up her behind.
Yeah, the good claws. I also think it's pretty pointed in the comedy way that they do a bunch of emotional scenes, but with this freaky skull robot. that even the expressions are like the servos that would be like eyebrows.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Daft Punk music video for Technologic.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I also got insight onto how her face worked behind the Megan face. Weirdly, I was like, "Oh, interesting. She's got like these sensors that are her eyebrows and her cheeks that move her face, and that's probably where a lot of her sensors to like read human emotion even are, or like read her environment."
But even the version in this movie, it almost looks like she was giving herself more, because you do see her like naked face or whatever in the first one, and it's very kind of basic. But in this, it seems like she's put way more of them, and it makes her a little bit more expressive. But at the same time, it's like, oh, she's designing a better sort of underneath muscle sort of system than even she had before, so she would be more expressive.
Yeah, it's like, Cam, you said that the emotional, like there's a really emotional scene when they're in the fake Katie's fake room, where Katie's like, no, you do things because they're right. Like, she's trying to teach her morality and empathy, and like it's this creepy little
There's only so much I can do with 3 hands, okay? How am I supposed to understand morality with only 3 hands? Yeah.
It was very Dr. Octopus again. Another reference for some reason to how horrible Dr. Octopus is.
I don't know if that was a reference to Dr. Octopus, but I'll let you have it. I did like that the hands look like, we did Lost in Space a couple months ago, Jason. Like the hands look like the Lost in Space robot hands.
The
like
Danger Will Robinson robot.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Steve exclaimed in A Quiet Theater, she has a Thing poster. She must be cool.
I don't know if I said it.
I noticed the Thing poster.
You were loud.
I
heard
it. No, sorry, I didn't hear you, but I said, a Thing poster. They're probably telling me something about her, but like from the Steven
Cam
Seagal
was
to
pretty
the
far
Thing
down, so he heard
to. I was on the other side of you.
Yeah,
that's true.
No, was
like all the way. I was on the other end.
If you heard me, then I would have realized how loud I was.
Don't worry.
I wasn't concerned. The person behind me had the weirdest laugh. They were laughing at everything the way we were, but their laugh was so like
Beavis and Butthead were sitting behind.
And it was I thought it was a woman too, and I'm like, wow, what an interesting laugh. I'm not even mad at it. I wanted to ask you guys about this Thing poster because
I think Noel was still talking. Hold on.
Oh, sorry, Noel.
The Thing poster.
Yeah.
You said, yes, I did notice it. And it's one of those niche things that, like, if you're cool, if you're a movie person, and usually if you're like a movie person who's a dude, like these are sort of the movies, the canon, right? But like not the primary canon, the really cool people, like the Thing. And especially because it didn't do very well in its first run, and then like it's really grown in appeal. But the Steven Seagal thing, the fact that she does Aikido, her intelligence, she has this Thing poster. Like Katie is being created as a like very well-rounded, non-feminine female character, and you don't see that a lot without it being shoved down your throat, without like she's the best at everything, like giving her, I don't like the term Mary Sue because it's been completely like it comes from a sexist.
It's lost all meaning. It's like the term woke. It doesn't matter
exactly.
Anymore.
It's like it doesn't but you can create like characters that have depth. Like it feels like when people are trying to create, what am I trying to say? When people are trying to create female characters that are empowered, they fail to put the depth in them. and they're just like power woman.
Also,
And
the Thing, famously a movie with 0 female characters in it.
You don't know the pronouns of the Thing.
That's true. That's true.
Also,
It's like-
ironically, you're answering the question I was going to ask. Noel. Continue.
so the Babadook is a non-binary, like, queer icon. So
Right.
how are you saying that the Thing can't be a non-binary queer icon?
I mean, I would never say that. I would never say that. I would say gay for pay. I don't know what I was. I didn't know.
Wow.
What to say.
I think the Thing can take any form. So
but
I
I did want to say one
is
thing. 'Cause
non-binary.
actually, I think that's a very good breakdown of that. I didn't consider it as much as I thought I should have, because what I was looking at it as was, I'm like, it's the Thing poster. We see this fucking clear villain, right? The guy, the weird nerd, Christian. I was like, is this movie telling us in advance that guy's a fucking robot? He's one of them. Like, he's one of the that's what I thought was going to happen because of the Thing poster. I hadn't thought about it until I saw the Thing poster twice, because like you said, she recreates the bedroom 2 times. And I'm like, oh, and the Thing poster's in both rooms. This fucking guy is, not only is he going to do a heel turn, but he's also going to be like and have like a robot face underneath at the end. They didn't do that.
No.
But that's what I
See,
thought the movie was telling us, you know?
Something that I wanted to just, the point that he was making about the person laughing behind him, people
Yeah.
were having fun in the theater.
Oh yeah. The whole
Like,
movie
that's the
theater
most
was, too.
fun I've heard people having in a theater, laughing at the jokes that were funny. And like, some people were laughing at stuff that they found funny, and like the parts that were silly, everyone, like, you could feel the vibes that everyone was on board for what the movie was giving them. And
it wasn't a full theater, you know. It wasn't like, you know,
it was decent though.
but it was okay.
It was
good,
decent.
Yeah, it's always good when, you know, you're not the only one giggling, you know. But like, our whole crew of people that we had with us were all laughing, but everybody else was laughing too.
Yeah,
it's like,
and it's like they don't release comedies in theaters unless they're like the Minecraft movie, really.
It's a backdoor comedy, buddy. We
Yeah,
got
action
one,
comedies
finally.
are dead. Like, there's
Yeah.
anyway, I was just listening to something about that, but that my rant about what movies are these days, notwithstanding, we can continue.
I mean, we all agree with what you said. You should watch the first M3GAN. A guy gets his ear ripped off, and it's the funniest thing you'll ever see, because it's no ear would ever rip off like that. It's like a crazy, like, Gumby ear, like boing, like it goes out like this far. It's funny.
I don't like
Also,
that,
he's
though.
also like 12. Like, it's not,
the
when I say a guy, I'm like a 12-year-old boy who's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't like body horror though. So
I
that's
know.
really a hot no for me.
But it's funny. Okay.
No,
We'll try
it's
it.
not.
I don't know how else to
everybody.
convince you other than saying it's funny. Yeah.
I'll watch it, and then I'll you'll.
But
get
I
a
mean,
message
that
from
it looked
me
like
that
an
says,
airplane
I hate
bit.
you, or
It looks like an airplane bit, like a Wayne's Brothers, like goofy, like
like
a
his
lip
nose
stretching
gets
way too
pulled
long
too
or something.
far.
Yeah, like it's like
well, it's a Mel Brooks kind of.
yeah,
vibe.
like a Mel Brooks.
Yeah. Actually, interesting. I watched Scream 2. I'd never seen the reference to the dick in the ear thing from Scary Movie until I watched a guy get stabbed through a fucking stall. I'd never seen that before. The Scary Movie version, maybe.
Jason's watching and he's like, "Oh, I assumed that it was a dick in this as well."
Yeah.
No,
You're like, oh,
I don't
I'm
know
ready
what
to
I
laugh.
I watched Scream 1 and 2 as kind of a double feature, and I Scary Movie was my only frame of reference. And man, Scream and Scream 2 are great films, dude. Fuck. I think about them all the time now.
Fun, boring fact. Scream 2 is one of the first movies to be spoiled by the internet, so they had to rewrite it real fast to go against Jason Blum's theory. And one of the great things in the movie is the movie originally had a bunch of killers, and one of the killers was the cameraman, the black guy. And they're like, okay, sorry, you're not the killer anymore. Like, what would you like your character? Like, how can we make your character still interesting for you? And he's like, I would like to be a black man that sees people getting murdered and says, I'm out. And I actually leave and never come back. And that was like,
please stop
his
referencing
choice.
the other cameraman that died in my position. I'm Audi 5000.
Yes. And it's always funny to me because like sometimes people are like, that character's really underwritten. I'm like, that was that man's choice. And it's a delight.
I wonder if he was also like, but also pay me the same amount you were going to pay me. Please.
True.
Yeah.
I will also say, just for I wanted to note in the chat, Tim is right too that it is a weird, like it's an ongoing horror thing to have another movies poster since like Evil Dead. That's a whole thing
for sure. For me, it's just like you watch movies these days, and there's so many people who are like 10 things you didn't see the first time you watched a movie. So like when I watch movies now, I'm like looking for the 10 things I didn't see. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw them.
Like the 6 fingers on the AI.
No, go ahead. You keep going.
I'm just gonna go get some water. You guys keep going.
I'm gonna do the chat.
Oh yeah, Tim was also with us in the movie.
Yes. He was my seat buddy.
Yes. That's why I thought I would shout out.
There you go. Johnny Five from
We were still talking poster a bit.
Well, yeah. I'm glad it wasn't that. Sorry, I'm glad it wasn't that, but at the same time I thought that it was maybe would have made him more interesting if he was a robot sent by that weird monster chip or whatever. But
I kind of liked the way that it ended with it just being like a shitty person.
Yeah, and he gets his arm ripped off.
It's just so much easier to be a shitty, like, I don't know, villains are so shitty now that like just give me something like
there
simple and someone that's like uniquely evil and don't hide something behind it. But noticing the Thing poster and the other things, like some of it, when I watch movies for fun, or I can watch them from an intersectional feminist lens. Like I actually have to turn that chip on in my head to watch something in an intersectional feminist lens, because it's a completely different vibe when you're just watching something and then you're looking for every little sexist thing that's in there. But this movie kind of allowed me to do both of them. But I was looking, because I knew that we were going to do this. Like we went to see it so that we would do this. So I was paying attention to those things, but it didn't lose me at any point.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think, like you say, it's also like it's interestingly subtle. I think because it's a sequel, it has the confidence to be like, this is a primarily women cast, but it's like that's not necessarily even the point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next segment of the film?
Well, we should talk about the basement. If we want to, if there's any moments you like or don't like, we can talk about it. But I think it's my favorite part. It shows M3GAN in a different light. She's embarrassed of her body, which is interesting. Her robot body that she made herself. But then we also have, the montage when they do eventually decide to agree to her plan, which is create me a body. My one stipulation is that I be slightly taller, which, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but like, I do like it because Katie's taller. She was slightly taller than Katie, and it's like, I need to be bigger than Katie to be able to protect Katie. So you can make me taller, but not too much taller than Katie, because then I'll just be an adult, and that's not what I want. I still want to be able to connect with her and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like these little things, I'm like, M3GAN's so nice. She's thinking so much about Katie, her best friend Katie. And I like that Katie didn't have like any kind of resentment towards M3GAN. Like she's like, we're still friends. Like I all that shit that happened when you killed those CEOs and his assistant and all that stuff, and you strangling my aunt and me ripping you in half and stabbing you in the face with a screwdriver, that happened, but we can still be friends.
Say they're friends to the end.
To the end, yeah.
Well, Gemma even points it out, like, how can I trust you? I stabbed you in the face with a screwdriver. And M3GAN's like, well, and then like I can't remember exactly what happened there, but the scene in the bunker that I liked was that it wasn't actually Gemma's decision to rebuild M3GAN. That the three of them, Tess, Cole, in her had like a
staff meeting.
A staff meeting, and they voted 2 against 1.
Yeah.
Which I liked, because in movies sometimes when the main character is like doing the wrong thing just way too long and you don't get the team up early enough, it starts to get really, really frustrated, and you're like, why am I watching Titans? But
I liked
it's one of those moments where, Jason, I'm going to agree with you again, where it's like the movie didn't like go too hard to have the jokey moment, because like in my brain I'm like, it's going to pan over and Katie's going to put her hand up, and then the robot hand is gonna go, like, you know, like that's gonna happen. But it didn't do that. It restrained itself. But
Yeah.
you know, there was a version of that where Megan's little weird robot hand comes up to vote
Yeah.
as well, right?
Double
I think it
vote.
was.
I do appreciate
funny
though
enough.
that Gemma takes so long to trust Megan though,
Mm.
because rewatching Terminator 2, the scene where Arnold busts in and Sarah Connor sees him and it goes slow-mo and you know her fear and you feel her fear, but then like it takes her no time to be for you know John Connors to be like, oh, he's cool now, and she's like, I don't know, and then she's like, he's cool now, and then she's like, okay, I
But
accept
she
it.
doesn't. She doesn't trust her even all the way to the end of the movie. Like it's
All the
only
way
like
to
the
That's what I'm
last
saying. Like,
moment,
I
yeah.
really like that Gemma really cannot wrap her.
Yeah.
She created this monster, and she cannot wrap her
Yeah.
head around.
And I mean,
this is a-
accepting her again.
Yeah, I think the kind of cool reverse Terminator thing too is that by the end of the movie, you also know that essentially Megan is, you know, a hyper calculating AI, and also knew that Gemma didn't trust her, but was fine with that to try to
Yeah.
prove a point, which is
Yeah.
like that's kind of a nice idea that is
Yeah.
not totally Terminator-y.
It keeps the core of the movie, like that undertone of actual like meaningful, like what draws you in and keeps you with the characters. It keeps that going, right? That tension. Instead, like if she'd been okay with her too early, then it would have become like a slapstick comedy. I think like you really
Yeah.
couldn't have told the rest of that story in that grounded kind of way. And it's a necessary foil to the way that Katie is very like kind of naive, believes in the good of people, believes that like everyone deserves a second chance, and has this sort of like different view on like what an AI is from Gemma's. It's a good contrast. And it's
Yeah.
also that mother-daughter generational, like there's a lot going on there. And it's not like it's really subtle, but it's a nice part of the storytelling.
Yeah. And like the movie had every opportunity in the world to have Megan do sort of the cliche thing of like, you know, or even Gemma do the cliche thing of like, you're my daughter as well. Like because she did create her, she is technically her mother, right? Like it's like they could have had that, but they didn't, because they're like, here's the cake, we're not going to eat it. Like the cake is here, we don't need to do that shit.
That's my problem with Aliens too. She becomes mommy.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that. I didn't even think about the fact that Gemma is technically Megan's mom. That's
She is. She made her.
Just
She
added
coded her, and she learned from everything that she put into her. But then she also learned from her sibling, who's Katie, and like
Mhm.
it is very much like how you would raise two children. But like one of them is just a super advanced AI who can learn a lot quicker, you know?
And kills a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But she's more Megan's mother than she is Katie's mother. Like
yeah.
there's more of a direct creation.
Yeah, that's interesting. The third one, there's this resentment. They're both vying for their mother's love.
well, that's the thing though.
Megan
Like in
versus
these,
Katie. Oh no.
Katie's got that fucking. She's been watching all the kung fu movies. She's doing Bruce Lee shit now.
In these movies, what you'll get when you have like the generational shift like that, it's like your Snow White and evil mother, like the women are in conflict, and at no point does that become a thing here, because it just wouldn't make sense. So like the fact, like Steven, you're saying like they had every opportunity to do this, but they didn't, is just like they didn't even bother stepping into that. Like if this movie was tropier, it would be terrible.
Yeah, I agree. And like that's the thing, when you go into a movie like this, you're like, they're doing everything pretty right so far, but like every time it inches closer to that moment where I'm like, are they gonna do like, you're my mom? Like I'm like, I don't really want that, because it's gonna maybe muddy the idea of what Megan is, and also like it's gonna undercut Gemma as a character as well, right? Because she's like the mother who is not only doesn't trust her daughter, but is absolutely terrified of her daughter and will kill her daughter at any moment if she needs to.
Yeah, and that's the Snow White evil queen thing, right? Terrified of your daughter. And like in these old grim fairy tales, like they were originally mother and daughter. They just made them stepmothers so that it would be a little bit more appetizing to people.
Palatable, yeah. But I mean, we also get the one musical number, because she does this multiple times in the first movie, and it's every single time it happens. My favorite part is when Megan sings a song, because it's like so frightening, but at the same time, like emotionally charging, because it's always done at a moment that needs it, where it's like, what would make this better? M3GAN starts singing. It's like M3GAN knows exactly when to start like, this is exactly when I need to start singing, and she does it here. And I got a little misty, man. I'm like, M3GAN knows. Like, if I was emotionally compromised, M3GAN would know when to sing me a song to make me feel better. And I love that Gemma is trying to get away, and she keeps grabbing her by the face and like make eye contact with me. It's not going to work, and it doesn't work, which is even better. Like, Gemma's like, I programmed you to do this shit, and you've learned so hard that you know exactly how to get me. What song is she singing? You guys,
it's called "This Woman's Work" by Kate Bush, and it's from a movie called "She's Having a Baby," and it's like it's about like the pain of childbirth and motherhood.
That's what I mean. Like, every single thing makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And in that scene, they've just given her like a human feeling hand because she had to have Christian's
his fingertips,
fingerprints.
Yeah.
So actually touching her with the very human hand that's Christian coded. It's a very interesting. Like, I didn't think about the Christian part, but the fact that there's this like emotional singing and then an actual hand holding on to her face,
and it's his hand. Yeah, that's crazy. I never thought of that either. It's his hand touching her. That's crazy.
In the bunker, when Cole, I don't know if you guys were getting there, but when Cole is like terrified of M3GAN, she's like,
funniest part
she's
of the
already,
movie.
she's standing there. That's one of the scenes that was also, we're gonna say the thing that's very popular, but unlike the way they do it in And Just Like That, where it's like cringy as fuck, we're just gonna get a normal thing where she puts her hand on his hand and says, I see you. And that's just such a like live, laugh, love kind of bullshit. But in that context, it's perfect. It's making fun of it and funny in the moment.
But also, like, it's in the trailer as well, right? And I always kind of find when you see the thing in the movie that was in the trailer, a lot of the times it's cut in the trailer to be maximum effective funny. So sometimes in the movie it's not as funny. But in this movie, it's so much funnier, like, because all the stuff you saw is there, but then there's a whole bunch of additional stuff that you didn't see, like him like saying okay, and then like turning his whole body away from her to like try and go back to sleep. Like, it's so much better. It's so much better than it was in the trailer.
I also liked her thing of essentially telling the two of them, it's like, listen, I'm very good at calculating if people would die. I just hurt you both badly and lit the room on fire. I didn't think you would die. It's like, good, I guess. Like, that's such a funny way to write off that she basically tried
M3GAN.
to
yeah. I knew you wouldn't be dead.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't die. It's fine.
Yeah. Remember when I strangled you? Yeah, I wasn't trying to kill you. I also, since we saw the movie, I was trying to figure out how to do that voice emulation, like the thing on my weird recordings that I do. I think I figured it out.
It's great. You have to hit there's like a high note that transitions as they're talking, so it starts regularly and then it goes up, right? And then I don't know how to. It's really hard to explain, but I think that high note.
I figured it out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear it because you nailed N64 Star Fox effect.
I found a keyboard app that I can connect to my recording program where you hit the note so it like makes your voice spike a little bit, and you can like do it a couple times to make it go like, so it sounds like more musical in the center. I'll send it to you guys later.
Musical is a really good way to put it.
I mean, if you've ever played the Portal video games, GLaDOS,
it sounds like GLaDOS.
That's basically what it is. Anyway,
thank you for reminding me because I've been racking my brain since we watched it. Like, what voice does that sound exactly like? And it's GLaDOS.
Oh,
Cake is a lie.
For sure. I actually was a little surprised it wasn't the same voice actor when I looked, because especially when she's in the machines, she's speaking in that weird timbre.
Does anything else anybody want to add for the laboratory sequence? Because I think it's my favorite shit. I mean, like, they do have a montage of her like breaking like all the dummies and shit, and she's kind of got like no clothes at one point, but she's like got like just like a weird sort of like tubular robot body, and you're like, okay, like she's gonna.
I should mention that like in this same sequence as when she gets her new body, they finally let her out of her little tiny robot. It gets smashed. She goes into somebody finally let me out of my Faraday cage. Gorillas. They put her into she goes back into her horrible robot form, and then they start building this robot after a bunch of discussion about like what it really means. And we get a great sequence, like a great montage of them building this robot, which was fun, had little gags in it. And basically out of that's when they go to infiltrate the tech conference. So yeah, if there's nothing else you want to mention.
Yeah, well, you know what it was missing that Christine had. When you're building an evil robot, you got to play bad to the bone. Gotta have that horrible needle drop.
I forgot that Bad to the Bone was in Terminator 2, and I was like, oh my god. That movie has a great licensed soundtrack.
Yeah, but I mean, 25 mil. They could have paid for Bad to the Bone. Maybe they're just like, there's too many Bad to the Bones out there.
I think I would have really disliked that.
Yeah. No,
what's a song that you would have liked?
That's also Christine gets off scot-free. It was the first movie to have Bad to the Bone.
That's the thing. Yeah. There's a time and a place for everything.
It's also the first movie to have an AI robot kill a bunch of men.
I think that Christine might be not AI. It might just be a ghost or something.
No, it's definitely a ghost.
It's like bad to the bone.
Yeah.
George Thorogood can't tell you enough.
It's an evil car.
He's
wearing that like
his
weird.
own.
He's wearing a sports bra for some reason when he's giving him the keys.
I think it's a back brace because he got hurt by Christine.
Yeah. Okay.
So
anyway, sorry.
They made her waterproof.
Tech
They
conference.
made a point.
We should make her waterproof this time.
And she's like military grade, right?
Yeah.
And also, that's when she says that she wants to keep her same face. And then they're like, well, how are we going to disguise her? Cut to her dressed like a raver, I guess, like a cosplay raver.
She looks like someone from like one of those like knockoff Mario Party games that you play on like Steam or something, where it's like Jet Set Radio Future. Like,
do you guys know what Lazy Town is?
I sure do.
Okay,
she looks like
that's
from Lazy Town,
cake or whatever.
Yeah, cake.
Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah.
We're number one. Hey.
Yeah.
She also looks like those. It was like an anime little AI thing that danced along with stuff that you did, and they were. Oh my god.
Bonsai Buddy.
No, I was also thinking Spy Kids.
A virus from the
Spy Kids movies.
Carry on. I will look it up. Carry on.
Spy Kids 3D. I got it.
Oh yeah, Spy Kids. Yeah.
Lava look a bit of a Shark Boy or a Lava Girl. Yeah. Another great feminist icon, Lava Girl.
Hey, those movies are actually not too bad.
I will say I have not seen them, so I'll take your word for it.
I watched them in an airport when I was going alone on a plane, and I was underage, so I had an attendant and I had to wear my passport on a lanyard. And they put you in the soft room if you're waiting for connections and whatnot. So they had the Spy Kids movies.
Oh, listen, that's not bad. And the Spy
They
Kids
only put me in the hard room.
And they gave me Pop, and then the lady was telling me how awful Pop was, and because I was like the only kid, and I don't know, I guess she's really bored, and I'm like, you don't hang around.
You're not my mom.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
I'm like in a different country being talked to about how Pop is bad, watching Spy Kids movies by myself with my passport attached to me.
That's a fun like rite of passage you see in movies that a lot of people don't get to do. So, and you were just like the Spy Kids on a mission.
Well, the reason I love Home Alone so much is because I went to like a kid's house who had the VHS, and my dad had to come take me home before the movie was over, and I cried my face off. And I didn't get to finish the movie for years and years. The same thing happened with Land Before Time. I had to leave before the movie was over, and I cried and cried. I might have been a little bitch boy.
You probably would have cried and cried if you stayed till the end of that movie. It's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, if somebody took me out of M3GAN 2.0 before it was over, I would have cried and cried, because at this point in the film, they are tracking Christian Bradley. He's the only one that knows the Zynox motherboard's location. But they make a call and it tips off Amelia to Christian's whereabouts. Now, during this whole sequence, I think my biggest problem with this movie is them trying to recreate in a very convoluted, contrived almost way, doing a dance number. But the thing is at first I was like, oh, and then it's so like weird and robotic and kind of great that I was kind of pulled back in. I went out, I was like, this is contrived and stupid, back into like, I don't know how they filmed it and then sped it up to make it look like this, because it was kind of fun. It was great. It was kind of a funny sight gag where she's up on the podium and the dancers are dancing, and they're like, wait a second, what do we do if they point to her and make her dance? And they point to her and make her dance, and then she does the craziest robot I've ever seen. It is kind of contrived. It's probably the biggest contrivance of the movie, unfortunately.
I wasn't sure what you were talking about until I got here, and I will say that this did feel like, remember the first movie when
you guys
dances?
like your dancing, here's more dancing.
Yeah. And I think it's what Cam was saying earlier, where it's like people glued on to that dance before the movie even came out.
Yeah.
And, you know, like drag queens were doing the M3GAN dance for like months before M3GAN even came out.
It's like, it was like the Barman.
Yeah, like exactly. It was the M3GAN. Nobody was doing the M3GAN 2.0 dance for months before M3GAN 2.0 came out. And I gotta say, like, the reason that dance in the first movie is so excellent is because she's dancing down a hallway for absolutely no reason other than to dance, because she's realizing that, like, I can have fun while I'm doing this. Like, she already
have the paper cutter blade though?
She gets it during the dance. So she dances up to a paper cutter and pulls the cutting part off, and now she has a Jason Voorhees machete, and she's just having fun. And like you're realizing as you're watching it, like, oh, she's not just killing now because she can kill, she's killing and she's also enjoying it. Like, that's the point of that scene.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and I feel like that's why I don't mind this, because it's so different, because the other dance was kind of like a random thing. And also because, like you guys had said, it's like the last thing she should be doing is being very obvious and dancing. And you see all the contrivances around her, like the evil robo FBI are there, we know that the other robot is there, probably. We know things are going down. I think we start seeing that robot killing people during the dance, too. Right? Yeah, she was in, like, a display case the whole time as, like, a suit of armor. Like a cool robot suit of armor.
Like a Spylon from the modern.
Yeah. I look like, you know what it looked like? You know those ads we were seeing at the beginning before the movie started of, like, the vacuum commercial or whatever with those, like, weird robots and elves fighting? She looked like she was one of those robots fighting those elves.
It looked like a Metropolis automaton.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the head's made up, but the reason she never takes off the armor is, I assume, all the Metropolis stuff.
Right.
Before
it's cool though.
On,
it's very
I found
cool.
out what it was. So it's Vocaloid. It's like the voice synthesizing
software.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they had the little Moe characters that would, like, be the voice. And so that's when I saw it, I was like, it's that thing. I just didn't have the word for it. Anime dancey voice thing, which is another. Get it? Because she's a dancing automaton. It's like Vocaloid.
Did Hatsune Miku just consume the other Vocaloids? What happened to them? Why
Do you think that Hatsune Miku has ever been referenced on this podcast before? Because here we are.
Yeah. You guys don't have a drop for Hatsune Miku?
We need one.
I think the robot dancing.
Listen, I looked up, if you're wondering, I did look up if there was a M3GAN VTuber skin, and there was not. So
there's probably a Fortnite skin for.
There's a
M3GAN.
Roblox. You can be M3GAN in Roblox.
Okay.
Finally, after all this time.
Or Halloween costume. Fabulous.
After we came out on the escalator on the way down, Danny was like, "Should I be M3GAN for Halloween?" I was like, "Whatever you want."
mean, if it's not clear, behind me is Jason Blum dressed as M3GAN. That's who that is. And I believe the premiere of the first M3GAN.
No, there's a 2. Oh wait, no, that's the 3. Is the third Megan just going to be called Megan again, and they're just going to really turn that 3
The 3 is going
hard
to be
into a
giant.
3?
Yeah.
I'll be very, very surprised unless this thing has legs, which nothing does anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Blum has the right idea though, man. I think he should just keep making them until they become the Freddy Krueger
And
style.
he is
Yes.
he's a Corman guy, so like
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
cost like 25 million, so it's gonna
Yeah.
make its money back.
Like
Uh,
90%.
It's at 20 million box office right now, so I'm sure once streaming and DVDs come out, I think it might have. Sorry, Noel. I think it might have a resurgence on, like it might get cult status from post.
Yeah, and I mean, like I think we were a somewhat diverse group of people who were interested in the movie, and I think everybody left enjoying themselves. So it could have a bit of a word of mouth.
We had gays, theys, she's, he's, and
people who are afraid
boys.
of horror.
Yeah, he had everybody.
People who Luddites who don't understand AI.
Yeah.
Tech people with degrees.
Yeah.
People with degrees, people who have drawn a picture of a degree and put it on their wall and pretend like it's a degree. That's
All
me. I did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick, Steve. Spell Baudrillard.
Oh God. I didn't go to degree school for spelling.
I went to degree school to learn how to draw a degree.
No, I got mine from
in
the
letters.
Yeah, I got mine from the University of Doritos.
No, I was gonna say it's School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dorito Driard.
Yeah.
I went to the school of the fresh obsessed, which is what they used to call the training program at the predecessor to Metro, which is Dominion.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be Subway. I thought you were gonna say reveal you have a BFA in sandwich arts.
I was a sandwich artist.
I
so-
love that. Thank you.
I have a BLT in sandwich arts. No,
A bigger left tip.
Wow, I've never heard that. I'm gonna keep that one in the old.
What about a BDE in sandwich arts?
Oh boy,
BBL.
that'll get you. You know what happened to Jared when he?
Oh God.
A BBC and sandwich arts. Anyway, moving on.
A mutton, lettuce, and tomato where the mutton is nice and lean.
I like when the mutton's got a bit of fat on it, if you know what I mean over here.
Real gamey.
Gay
During an
me was my
international-
nickname in high school.
Yeah, you won. You hit that on the head.
Yep.
They call tips off. They tell Amelia, what the fuck sentence is that?
They call.
They let Christian know Amelia's whereabouts. essentially.
Yeah, but she's at the. They have a fight. They have a big
Oh, yeah.
fight in the conference center, and
She
it's pretty
kills
cool.
the ambassador to China. No big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
And the FBI guy is like, confronts Gemma, and it's like, you're working for, or you're a shill for China. It's like, if I am, then why is the ambassador of China lying there
Yeah.
dead?
Actually, yeah, all the guy, his extra big gun that just immediately gets caught on something and clatters all over the floor. Very funny.
Yes.
Very funny.
I like the part where Cole ethers himself by accident.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the best joke. That is like
Yeah.
like a Charlie Chaplin era joke, but I'm like, why did I never? I can't recall another usage of this, but it seems like it should be in every
seems like-
movie.
Yeah, where he
Feels
had
like I
two
saw this-
hankies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Too
feels like I
many
saw
Like
hankies.
this
it's
joke
comedy
happen.
about having two hankies in the year 2025,
It's just,
and yet
it's
it
so,
works.
It's so simple. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, this movie didn't try to create like a web of something. It just
But
went
it
with
also,
very
like, it
simple
keeps-
moments.
It also keeps giving too. Like it's a joke that gives later as well. Because like he busts out of the vent later, and Katie's like, "Cole, how did you get here?" And he's like, "How did you get here?" Like,
Yeah, I don't.
or he
know.
says like, "I don't know." Like he says something really.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
he literally says, "I don't know," because he like
He
wakes up.
falls down the shaft.
Yeah.
So he really doesn't know how he got there because he only
What a
wakes up
funny
when
guy.
he hits the floor.
I mean, is Soulmate going to be all about Cole? Is he going to be the main character in Soulmate?
I mean, I would hope that they're the crossovers.
I love a good beta male.
Yeah.
Like that's my bread and butter. Like I love him.
Bread and
Fantastic.
beta. Yeah. Gonna have a bread and beta sandwich tomorrow morning.
So I'll put you in a sandwich, eh?
Oh, damn.
Hmm.
Damn.
So the
I
next
also
big
like
thing-
so hold on. When she's like lip reading him, like, and like Christian, and there's like a yeast infection joke or whatever, I think, right?
right.
I
Yes.
don't remember what it is, but I remember thinking it was very funny.
I have a yeast infection on my vagina.
Is that what it was?
Oh,
He just says that.
And,
Yeah,
I have
right,
something,
yeah.
something in like a something
But they
chip
doubled
in China.
They doubled
was-
down on the joke because she's like, "What does he actually say?" And he goes, "I have a," and then Megan says, "Could have gone either way, honestly."
Yeah, I
And that he
mean,
was gonna
I think
say
we all knew that it was Megan fucking with her, but like, yeah, the second part is funny. I saw somebody, like, I was looking through reviews today and like a couple of video ones because I was like, I honestly was just like, I need to remember what happened in the movie. I don't remember everything. And one of the guys like immediately was like, "Listen, folks, there's a yeast infection joke in this movie, so I think you know what we're in for." And I was like,
Nope,
"All right,
turn it
click
off, turn
away."
that person off.
I don't.
Yeah,
You
great.
didn't like the movie. You don't need to.
That guy saying that is more gross than the yeast infection joke.
I think it just means he doesn't have any kind of sense of humor, and he just wants like balls jokes.
I cannot tell you how many times female body yeast infection misogyny jokes are made in these other movies, and it's made in the same vibe as this man is saying stuff about himself. Like, that's coded in misogyny in this,
Yeah,
just by
of
nature
course.
of it being.
Yeah.
And it's just used in a clever way in this movie instead of just like, oh, he's got a vagina, he's not a man. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
not
mean,
that
even
deep,
just like
guys.
everything about Megan, right? Like, if you think about Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in Terminator 2, and like the structure of his comedic value in those movies versus what Megan's
dickwad.
versus what Megan's comedic value is in these movies. It's like they're completely different, but they are interchangeable in a lot of ways. Where like she's robotic in her responses, but she understands sort of the nuances of humor, which makes it even funnier. Whereas in the Terminator movies, his inability to understand nuances is what makes it funny, like his woodenness or whatever, right?
But don't you guys wish that Katie taught Megan a bunch of made up slang?
I do. I did want an
yeah.
Hasta La Vista baby moment in this movie, but I think that it's bigger.
Again,
than that.
it's probably better for it to not.
Yeah.
have-
I would have hated that.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
talked about
one
we've
thing
talked
that
about one contrivance of the movie, which was her dancing. We've talked about many opportunities for contrivances that just went the other way.
But
so
they also do this, like,
Audiences crave contrivance.
I think they do like sort of like a wonderfully sort of it'll have legs kind of thing, which is like instead of relying on Katie being a young person and feeding Megan a bunch of like either modern slang or made up slang, they go over the things that are sort of universally loved by every generation, which is like a princess singing about animals and shit. Like that kind of stuff is going to go on forever, right? Like they double down on it in this movie, and it's like those are the things that little girls are taught to love, but also like everybody loves that shit. Just a bunch of people secretly pretend they don't like it, but it's going to go on forever.
Very aware of it. And
Yeah.
the cheap joke would be if they were teaching her slang. And that's a problem with contemporary movies that everyone hayaks about. It's because they have these references. Like there's a reason why when you watch The Wizard of Oz, it feels more modern than 80 years old.
Then Chappie. Sorry.
Yeah.
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 Oh, forgot about Chappie.
Sure, I'm gonna hate it.
But like
I did what?
Sorry,
I don't know what that is,
was a
and I'm
low
glad I
hanging.
don't.
It was a low hanging fruit joke, which Chappie is also about a robot who they teach to be a real boy, and it's just all a bunch of South African slang from like 10 years ago.
No, don't watch Chappie. You're all
To go to that singing
Thank
scene,
you.
I forget if it happens before or after this, but it literally Gemma keeps trying to shut her up as she's singing the song because it's so fucking like out of left field and ridiculous, but also part of her very being and her character. When she finally shuts her up, she puts her hand over her mouth and then rips the inhibitor chip off of her and says, "Fine, you can kill people, but I need you to not kill people." And the whole thing with
Try not
Terminator
to,
2 is also, I forgot about this whole element of Terminator 2 where he says, "You have to swear to me, you can't kill people." And then there's that big shootout at Cyberdyne, and he's literally like blowing cars up, and he's like, "Trust me." And the trust is that he's gonna blow shit up and make the humans run away, so he
Yeah.
doesn't have to kill
They
them.
even do
And
the same joke in this movie that's in Terminator 2, which is like the joke in Terminator is like he shoots the guy in like the legs or something, or like sends a smoke grenade into his spine, and then he's like, he'll live. Whereas in this, like M3GAN is like,
Yeah.
I'm reading all your readouts. You'll live. Like
You'll
it's
be
like
fine.
it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same joke.
And
but,
so
and they're both good.
that-
And they both work. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Noel.
that scene, it works when she rips off the inhibitor chip, because at that point Katie has been abducted, and
Yeah.
they're like back in the lair and trying to reconfigure it, and the song happens. It's like, okay, enough of this fake empathy bullshit that I programmed you. Like, I need you to save Katie, and like the chip comes out. So that's a perfectly decent reason to have to put your faith in something that you don't have faith in.
Yeah, and as we said before, like as much
And the
as the
EMP.
faith is, the faith is there, but she did build a bomb into her. But as Cam said, M3GAN knows about it and has known about it the whole time, but she's fine with it, which is like that shows like trust on both levels, but I guess a little bit uneven because one person doesn't actually know the other person knows.
Is her knowing about the EMP in her own arm sort of the like
That's the reveal at the end.
the thumb in
That is yes,
magma?
that's a
Yeah.
good I mean,
Yep.
it's not the same thing really, but like
Not the same thing at all.
but it is sort of like
but-
the nod to the audience and to the character getting it.
Yeah, and honestly, they could have done a lot more, because I mean, the whole thing is that they're realizing that they're all descended from this killer thing, and they're trying to destroy the killer thing. So it would be to do the Terminator would be like, and now M3GAN must destroy M3GAN. But they didn't go to the weird spark factory, so there's no lava to pour you.
But I mean, they did
at the
sort
end
of
of a
do
huge
that.
highway.
They did sort of do that because they activate M3GAN's old code within Amelia. And it's like, well, M3GAN 1 tried to kill everybody. We can't do that, but they do it because they're like, there's a small chance we might get her to help us. And she does for a second, but then she's like, no, not really. I'd rather become Storm from the X-Men.
I also to talk about the MCU a little bit. On that note, I do feel like Amelia. No, I know I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I do feel like that M3GAN and Amelia are doing the. They're so advanced that they're looking at all of the possible variables, and M3GAN ultimately comes up with the sort of Doctor Strange, like there's only one way out of this, and that's why she's willing to have the EMP in her arm, and she's able to.
Well, it's not that she's willing; it's like she just didn't say I know about it, but she knew about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that there is that element that, and they allude to it a little bit throughout the film, that and then that goes right back to the actual the God Xerox chip that is like, well, the best way to clean a house is to have the house never be dirty, which means we have no humans, which ultimately equates to get rid of all the humans on the entire planet, right?
Yeah,
which is kind of what Skynet does too.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think
there's no humans.
I was half expecting there to be something about Skynet, but the cool thing about, you were saying the running the simulation. So M3GAN's the only one that's sentient and running the simulations and has the AI, because we find out that Amelia doesn't actually have like the reason that the thought things were coming didn't have a source was because she was actually being controlled by Christian, because they would not allow her to be sentient. And it's when they give her M3GAN's old programming and Katie pairs with her,
she becomes fully aware.
Exactly. So M3GAN is actually the only robot, really, who. And so by that time, Amelia only has the must get Xerox chip, right?
But you also, I mean, this is the thing about the movie, which is like, I think the point is like, M3GAN also is free as well, and like. That's what we're supposed to feel as the audience, and I think it works, like it's fine. Like she even says like, I'm not doing it because you told me to and because I have to do it. I'm doing it because I want to do it because I want to do it because it's right. And it's like, oh, she did figure out morality on her own. She didn't need Katie to program morality into her. She was able to find it. And that's cool. She's the perfect balance between being locked up in a Faraday cage for 40 years and a robot that just found sentience versus somebody who's been able to observe a functioning family for 2 years after trying to kill them and realizing why it works. You know, like there's like a bunch of things that you're like, okay, M3GAN figured it out from watching. And I think that's the point that they're trying to make at the end of the movie, which I kind of want to give a middle finger to because I don't necessarily agree with it. But at the same time, like in terms of the structure of the story, like I understand why. I don't. Did we even? We're not even really on point of what's happening in the movie at this point.
But
like,
if you program the AI with empathy, like
you'd have to find the most empathetic person to be able to also understand robotic code because like empathy differs from person.
Plot wise, I can catch us up to all of everything that we've talked about. During the meeting, Amelia murders a Chinese official and kidnaps Katie. Gemma, Christian, and team go to a secure bunker. Christian reveals he's behind Amelia. He built and remotely controls her to provoke fear of AI and banish its development. Now, while that's all happening, we get all.
He also has a yeast infection on his vagina.
We get that sequence where they're in the like server room, which was a great sequence of them like sneaking around, and there's a bunch of misdirects there.
That was the Spy Kids moment where everything was like well lit and cool, and the fight was pretty cool, and their costumes are both dope. And she wears that costume to the end of the movie. Both of them do.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
This might be too far, but Christian incapacitates Tess and forces Gemma to submit to a neural implant to control her. I think that's the next segment of the movie.
Yeah, because we talked about Cole knocking itself out in the thing. And,
and this is the opposite of Jermaine Clement being in a room with a killer robot, horny. This is like equally as scary in my mind. I can't imagine like somebody drilling a neural implant into my head who already has expressed that they have sexual interest in me and being like, and maybe when you're done, you'll be more compliant or whatever. Like this is some.
Did you not feel like that it was going to be revealed she didn't get her? She was going to break out of that. I couldn't believe she got the chip installed. I could not believe they did that.
I thought that M3GAN was going to like an arm was going to like activate from behind or something. She'd be like, I'm in, and like break his neck.
They did like a Sam Raimi Evil Dead, like you see the fucking drill.
Oh man, this is the other thing about the first movie. There's so many Sam Raimi Evil Dead camera shots in the first one. Almost none in this one. There's a couple, but they're not as potent where you're like, ooh. There's a couple where like she'll like close a trunk and you'll see her reflection on this like perfectly chrome bumper of a car, and like for a moment just kind of like let the steam and the car lights lighter and stuff. I'm like, this is Sam Raimi school of filmography. I love it. Or cinematography. Not as much in this movie. I didn't like it. It made me feel grossed out, but I guess it also led to some pretty cool shit. Like her having M3GAN in her head reminded me a lot of some of like my most favorite sort of science fiction-y stories that I've heard of like two brains in one mind and having to work together. And
super creepy.
It's very creepy, but as long as the person in your mind infiltrating is there to help you, nothing to fear. The fear is the other guy.
Also M3GAN in her head. And I think it's very different that you have somebody that she created that's in her head versus. So this is the one thing where it does go tropey. The Prince Charming is actually like, it's very Frozen. Like Prince Charming is actually the evil guy. They flipped it on you, but and like he's obviously very creepy, but they don't go all in on it. They like it's light enough that it's not like, oh, they're making this guy a misogynist to make him bad in our woke world. It's just it ends up, his lines end up just being really weird and funny. Like he's just it's the line delivery, it's how awkward he is.
This is also one of the reasons that I thought that he was going to be a robot, is because he's so sort of like wooden and kind of flat in delivery, and he's
Like a tech
super
bro?
boring. Yes, exactly. But I'm like, but he's like a robot. He's a robot man. And I guess that's the irony of it, is that like the robot man isn't a robot man, but he's trying to be the man who stops the robots from being robot man or whatever.
But also, Stephen, you and I also kind of recognize that for some reason, the ultimate villain in this movie is a James Bond villain, like full on, like has all of the.
It reminded me a lot of that
secret layer, like weird, like.
It reminded me a lot of that Hank Scorpio episode from The Simpsons, where like he's on the line with the UN while there's like a whole fucking like battle happening.
Yeah.
Can I get 5 minutes, please?
Yeah, because
he is talking to the UN, right? That was the UN.
He is, because this whole thing was to push his AI agenda to actually like. So he's showing them this is the worst that can happen. He's completely orchestrated all of this, and now he's gonna like give the solution to the UN and like be the savior of the world. So it's like it's a very strange, but in the tech bro world, in the world that we live in now, like those James Bond lairs and a lot of that like the bat caves and shit like that, like they're not just like they have them.
Oh yeah, Mark Zuckerberg like famously has a bunker, and everybody's like, "Why do you need that bunker?" Person that knows the ultimate.
Why is it at the top of a mountain? As if all the water melted or ice melted, it would go up to it makes sense.
And that's what makes this so different from those older movies where they're like it's just so rooted in reality somehow, but not enough that it bothers you, and not enough that it's too on the nose.
Yeah,
it's a much smarter movie than it has any right to be.
Yeah, it kind of feels like. Have you guys seen like the Kingsman movies?
Sure.
Like it's like not quite as dumb as those. Like it's like a little bit smarter than those, but it's also like not quite as like actiony, overly produced fight sequences as though like it's like in this weird sort of middle area.
Those movies make me uncomfortable.
Well, that's because they're juicy with fucking male juices. That's just man.
Sorry, I really like them, but there's certain things that aren't like. I feel like I'm in a simulation watching this, and there's certain things that I'm just like, that's weird, and it's not even like because it's man juices. It's just like that's a weird choice, and it kind of pulls me out of it. Where I didn't get any of that here.
Yeah, I think those movies, like a lot of the sequences are shot like music videos as well. So you're kind of watching like a movie, and then a music video happens for like 5 minutes, and then it goes back to the fight sequences are just music videos. Very well produced music videos, but basically what they are.
They're also based on something.
Yeah, Mark Miller comics, which are
they're comics.
Cam doesn't like them.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If you want a weirdo misogynist, it's Mark Miller. He's king misogynist.
Also, Cam, every time you close your cardigan, I'm like, you look like you just got back from Taekwondo class. I'm like, Taekwondo.
See that has like. No, I could talk about the awkwardness of the Kingsman, but like there's something that's just uncomfortable about those movies because they put someone in a meat grinder in a weird spot where it doesn't make sense, and they're blowing people up with like it's just there's a weird surrealness to it, whereas this doesn't have that, despite the fact that it's a killer robot.
It almost feels this movie almost feels like it should, right? Like it almost feels like it should be leaning more into the Kingsman realm, but it doesn't quite go there. Like it does a little bit, but not enough for you to be like, holy shit, did you see that the whip got caught in the meat grinder and almost grinded up his face? Like, where the camera is doing unnatural stuff. I think that's the main thing about the Kingsman movie is like there's so much CG that is just a digital camera movement to like follow a cord to another person who's then dodging a meat cleaver as they're trying to not get put into a meat grinder.
The story is also stupid.
In the Kingsman movies? Yeah. The first one was okay, but all the other ones are bad.
They're very intentionally stupid.
Yeah. I like the one with Rasputin.
I did not get that far.
The only thing I know about Kingsman is when he saves the girl, she's like, "You want to fuck me in the ass or whatever."
I really hate that part.
I hate that too. Yeah.
Yes.
What was M3GAN 2 rated? Was it R rated or was it like
14 again?
14 in Canada. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of fucks.
I don't remember the fucks. What were the fucks?
Megan says fuck a lot of times.
Yeah.
She's a
Okay.
potty
didn't catch
mouth.
it.
She's a Chucky. I think I ship Chucky and Megan more than I ship Tiffany and Chucky
Wow.
at this point. Yeah,
Jesus.
I said it. I said it.
Breaking up.
Megan's a
families.
child. She's only 2 years old, Jason.
Well, fair enough. How old do you think Chucky is though, without Charles Lee Ray in his head?
Well, that's
Old. He's from the 80s. He's as old as that fucking robot 80s
the
robot.
Xerox chip.
Yeah.
If you want the exact count, Megan uses bitch and shit around 2 times. 2 uses of fuck, 1 use of ass, use of the word vagina, 3 to 4 goddams, and then 1 time she says fuck, but it's cut off.
Oh.
Where do you get a reference like this? Because I need this for every movie.
The Parents Guide on IMDb.
Hell yeah, brother! What's the best guide I've ever heard of?
I wonder if there's parents who have like checklists that are like, they have like, there's 3 fuck boxes and then like 6 shit boxes. And if they go past it, it's like, you're not seeing that one.
I'll let my kid have 1 fuck.
The other
sentence I
other
said.
kind of weird thing, if you ever want to look, is there's a website called Common Sense Media that's like a lightly Christian coded.
Yeah,
movie
I was going to
review
bring that up.
website.
I know about that one.
Yeah.
Or you just let your kids do all the weird shit that they did in the 80s and then they come out like us. Millennials are totally
Drink
fine.
from the
with it.
hose, scratch yourself on rusty fences, and
I will
Punch
say,
yourself in the face.
Parents Guide, the Common Sense Media still says the same age, 14 plus, and they give it 3 out of 5 stars.
I think this is I have about the emotional depth of a 14-year-old, which I think is why this hit me. I read YA fiction and like movies like that.
Yeah, you introduced me to the term DizCon, DizCom, decom. Yeah, not DizCom. What a fucking idiot I am. Cole finds Katie. They attempt to reprogram Amelia by restoring Megan's original protection directive. Amelia is initially on their side. Oh yeah, this segment was great. I actually really enjoyed this because they learn that Amelia is just a puppet, and Katie, who's fucking a genius level programmer at this point, and she actually like disables Megan at the end of Megan.
by
she
stabbing
goes
her
up
in the face with a screwdriver.
I know, but she does some hacking.
No, she doesn't. She activates Bruce. Remember Bruce?
Oh yes. And you said Bruce is in the background when we first go into the into Gemma's lab at the start.
I think I smacked Jason. I said, "There's Bruce." Remember
There's Bruce. No, you smacked Danny actually.
Oh.
It's Bruce.
It's Bruce. He's here.
But I like this segment because I like the idea that they realize that Amelia is just like a Megan bot if you hit the hard reset, and they do that, and then she pairs with her, which all you have to do to pair with a Megan is you touch your
Palm
fingers
of its hand. Yeah.
Yep. And they pair for just a brief moment, and Amelia, it becomes like literally Megan 2.0 for a moment. That would be the title drop, I would say, her becoming that, because they say Megan 1,000 times in this movie. But if there was a title drop in this movie, it would be at that exact moment. If there was one of those in this movie, at the title
You're
drop.
saying that she should have been like, "It's me, Megan," because she has like a weird accent, right?
Yeah, she's like Russian.
Yeah,
I'm Megan 2.0.
Ukrainian.
Yeah, Ukrainian.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
I mean, technically, they say Megan constantly throughout.
That's
the
what I'm
movie.
saying. It is because we were having all the technical difficulties. I didn't have the chance to do my regular rigmarole of like, oh, they say the name of the movie 1,000 times. But I think that the Megan 2.0, it's also a theory, but he left, so we can't also get the theory theme. I think that is the first time there's a literal second Megan for that brief second. But what ends up happening is I think the FBI guys or the security guards come in and electrocute her repeatedly until they do that great thing that they do with robots where it does the like screen close, like the screen turning off. And then when she comes back, you see all the like code starting, and then does it literally just say like own directive or something like that?
Yeah.
Like she
So
just becomes
they factory reset her, and then
Yeah.
they rebooted her. And whoops.
by electrocuting her repeatedly. She
Could've
got
done
Robies or whatever you said earlier.
Robies. Yeah, she had a terrible case of the Robies.
Yeah.
She do that. And then she tries to convince Megan, like, I broke free. So she broke free from programming really easily.
Yeah.
By getting electrocuted repeatedly.
Well, because Megan just got bit in the head by a dog, but she got fucking shock collared. She got shock collared.
So that's real Robies. This is like artificial Robies.
Exactly.
Artificial robe
This
semination.
is like going straight to the source. They went to the hospital and got a bunch of Robies injections. And then she goes on like a massive killing spree. Like she has like a crazy laser gun and stuff that's just burning through people. Like it looks like a laser from like Halo or something. It's just like burning through people's torsos.
That was an
You're like,
incredible
"Holy
scene
moly."
too. It looked like a combination of like a Ghostbusters gun and a laser beam, but like
The Halo gun.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
I had to go through it
That's
in
why I
my
was-
own mind and say it
Jason's like, what
again.
else does it look like? Other than what
Robot.
you said.
Ghostbusters.
I used to have this cool shirt that had all of the Halo guns on it in like a repeating pattern. It was so cool.
Oh,
But
I
actually,
remember that shirt.
Maybe it wasn't cool.
No, I remember someone else having that shirt that wasn't me.
Was it me?
It might have. I don't think it was you because I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah, well.
I
I've
like
been around as long
Needler.
as you have.
I like Needler. Needler is good. I like Needler too. So yeah, we're getting close to the end, but this is right around the moment where I'm like, the movie's ending soon, right? And then the movie
it
proceeded
still
to
went
go
on for a
like
while,
another
yeah.
half an hour. But I did like that, the base is going into shutdown. I did like that when Gemma wakes up, Megan's in her head as sort of this like ghost entity, and like the guy is like, "What did you say?" Because she's like answering Megan out loud, which is pretty funny.
Then Megan's like, no, don't talk.
Yeah, stop talking out loud. I can hear your thoughts. And she's like, "You can hear my thoughts?"
Megan's so
Just talk to
sassy. I
me
love it
in
so
here.
much.
And then everybody, I've been learning lately that there are many people who don't have internal monologues. So like, I wonder if people watching this movie are like, "What do you mean your thoughts?" Like, I don't have thoughts in my head.
That's why it only made 18 million in its opening weekend, because people are like, I can't get down with a movie about people thinking inside their own head.
A bunch of people got to this point in the movie near the end and walked out and demanded refunds.
That's unrealistic.
This doesn't seem real to me.
Yeah. After all of that.
Well, I think I wrote it. Yeah, I wrote it in the chat that like there was only one moment where I went like, that's not realistic. And it's when she's wearing the biosuit and she's Gemma's unconscious, but she's wearing the exoskeleton and her head's whipping around. And I'm like, her neck would be broken. And I'm like, Noel, have you watched the rest of them? Like,
yeah, but here's my
relax.
Here's what I'll say to that. That sequence was awesome. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole movie, where she's and I went, oh, she's knocked. Like you see the point where she like gets hit in the head and she's knocked out, and I was like, oh, is she just going to continue this fight knocked out? And they fully do a great. I'm a fight choreography person. Like I love professional wrestling. I love fight choreography of movies and television, and that sequence was awesome. The other great.
So I know that Noel hasn't seen Malignant. Jason, have you seen Malignant?
I have not seen Malignant.
Cam, you've seen Malignant.
Yeah, but we mustn't spoil the secrets of Malignant.
All right,
please don't spoil the secrets.
I won't spoil the secrets of Malignant. But that fight scene when she's knocked out, very Malignant, right? Was it not?
Yeah, sure. And yeah, apparently they said it was also inspired by The Ring, where they just wanted to have her hair in front of her face, like
that. I have seen.
We will do Malignant on this show one day. Noel, I don't know if you'll be able to handle it. It's actually quite frightening. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, maybe.
Never.
I did want to give a shout out to.
It's really gooey and gross. I'll say that much.
The first fight between Amelia and Megan is earlier in this film, and they're doing all these shots where they're like punching and the camera goes like upside down and stuff, or is that the final fight where they do that? They fight
No,
twice.
it's when she's knocked out, they're doing like all these crazy, like
Yeah,
twisty, because it's like following her head. It's like her head
Yeah.
flailing back and forth. They're like following where her head leans, which is like, it was really cool. It was I was very into it.
I
Like,
was
this is
so
great.
into
This
it.
is so good. Yeah.
Fucking.
But they
I
don't
had
do that. They,
Persian and
don't do-
everything.
they only do that for that fight sequence. They don't do it for anything else. It's just for this one moment where she's unconscious. They're like following kind of the tilt of her head while she's flopping back and forth. It's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it's cool as hell. The director, I don't know if we really got to talk about the production of it all, but the director for this film, Gerard what's his name?
Johnson.
Yeah,
Johnson.
he has a really unique like eye for things. Is what I noticed between both movies. In M3GAN 1, when she's like having that battle with the kid, and she goes full like Wolfman mode and goes like, well, and then they repeated that in this movie as well.
Yeah.
What a weird thing to do.
I think I
the
yelled.
character.
This might have been the other point where I yelled loud enough that everybody in the theater heard me. She has pink mist. Because when the grenade goes off, it's pink. I was like, it's pink mist.
Yeah, I remember that as well. That's dope.
But yeah, I think that was them just again nodding to the first movie, right? But like in the first movie, when she goes into dog mode, when she's running, they add like this very subtle like horse, like this horse clop sound effect, which makes it. But it's like clearly like deepened and like the bass is heightened, but it's definitely a horse. In this, it's I think it was just to be like, remember the other movie when she did this? Yeah, because she only does it for 2 seconds.
But that's something I do love about this movie. They only remember the times are either like a subtle nod or we have to put the dancing in because the dancing made M3GAN famous. So I'll allow it. I think
It's
that
not like Austin Powers 2 where the entire opening is him being naked.
Yeah.
Well, the singing, bringing back the singing worked. It's just bringing back the dancing didn't. So I mean, like,
I think that's the only one that doesn't
shot
work.
at that, right?
That's like my only real problem with the movie.
I didn't hate it.
I have a specific question for Noel based on our viewing of this film. I know that you brought a Monster High doll to the film. Did you know that the director is also directing the Monster High movie?
So it wasn't a Monster High doll.
Oh, sorry. It looked Monster High-ish.
But I do have Monster High dolls, and that is very cool, and I did not know that.
Yeah, I just saw it. I saw that's his next project.
So
hey, did you see this one? Field trip 2027. Let's go.
I'll sit this one out.
No, man, Monster High is so fun.
I'll fugue states through it for Noel.
So speaking of Monster High,
I can't tell if Steven is fugue stating or if he's frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen.
So Monster High has like these.
I can still see you guys. Am I just frozen?
You're frozen with your eyes closed. You're frozen like this.
You look like you're mid vape or something.
I have nothing in my hand. Mid vape.
No, you're about to be like aliens.
Oh wait, what the heck?
Anyway, continue talking about Monster High while Steve figures this out.
All I'm saying is that just like Barbie, it's a Mattel company. So just like Barbie, they have like the fancy collector ones. So they have a M3GAN one, and it's the coolest fucking thing. It's like so detailed. Like the Monster High dolls are so detailed. They have a Pennywise one. They have like the twins from The Shining. Like they have the coolest ones, and they have an Elvira one.
Oh, cool.
But the M3GAN one, like it's already a doll, and then they made a doll of the doll, and it looks so good.
Yeah, very creepy.
It's like this big.
Yeah. No, that's neat. I didn't know about these crazy high-end Monster Highs.
I didn't know they were doing them.
Oh my god, my real life background is there. No one can see how I live.
Well, it's is your fog machine on?
Pink mist.
It looks like you're gonna get murdered.
Oh yeah, I put a little bit of fog out before I go to bed. Before I go to bed, I like to imagine I'm gonna get murdered tonight.
Yeah. It's got essential oils in it, but it's really so if Michael Myers comes into my home.
Yeah, when I pour them in, I go, essentially, I'd like to not wake up tomorrow, please.
Oh my god! Now
This might be too dark.
So one thing with Megan is that she gets the shit kicked out of her
Mhm.
Yeah.
in this movie, and like her jaw starts falling off.
Well,
And, like,
let's
she's-
let's like
This
let's
is
put a
the
pin in
main
that,
difference.
and let's move. Do you guys want to move to the ending because we're kind of there?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
should because we've been going for a while, guys.
yeah.
Well, we're not allowed to talk about the amount of time we've been podcasting.
I know,
Well.
but I don't have to go on about it for another 15 minutes. That's the main difference.
Fair. Thank you.
You know what? I think we
Thank
should
you.
talk about that. This is such a long
Monster High. Let's go.
We're at- Hey, you don't
Listen,
know
I-
about your demographic? No,
I could bring up the Common Sense Media topics that they say to discuss with your kids after you've seen Megan too.
I want to know one of them at least.
Can we
Use
say
that
that
in
for
your review.
Cam's
At least
plugs?
one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Cam's
Okay.
plugs.
There's more violent sex and language in Megan 2 than the original movie. It's not uncommon for sequels to raise the stakes for both drama and mature content. Why do you think that is?
I think
I
that
saw
is
mommy kiss
because-
not daddy.
I think that's because the child who saw the first one is now older, so it's appropriate for you to bring it up.
Okay.
My Tamagotchi is a baby.
I think that Tamagotchis are babies and always will be.
This one's called a new bleep. Okay.
I didn't know that they made them still, but it's fine. So,
Are you judging
We're-
me? This
Yeah,
is how
fine.
I mother in this world gone
Listen.
mad, where I'm a working, educated person who doesn't.
you have
wanna
a dog, a
children.
real life dog.
I know, and she has an iPad. That's how she's been.
Your
quiet.
dog has an iPad. It's like
She loves Baby Shark.
Right.
Sure.
all dogs do.
Jesus Christ.
Coco Melon. I've seen dogs watch that.
I gave Baby Shark to my parents on an iPad for their dog, and he destroyed the iPad. And then we all said, "We're gonna need a bigger iPad."
Boy. Shouldn't you
We're
say
gonna
you're
need a
going to
bigger
need it?
shark.
Yeah. Thank you, Noel. That's the joke.
Thank you.
Okay, listen. Here's what I'll say. Amelia accesses the motherboard with Christiane's biometrics. Vault self-destruct is triggered, but she disables it. Gemma and Katie reinstall Megan into her upgraded body. Megan pretends to align with Amelia. Then Gemma triggers the EMP, destroying both androids and the motherboard. Now, a lot of stuff happens within that, but that's sort of the finale, if you will.
Mm.
So add content, if you will. But if you don't want to, we can also.
Well, I mean, the best part is when, I mean, maybe not the best part, but like a part that tickled me in a way that I was like, thank God they brought this back, because I wasn't sure they were going to, was when Gemma is trying to get Katie to just break that guy's fucking arm, and she just says like 4 Steven Seagal movie titles in a row, and she's like, just break his fucking arm. like Katie's not getting it. Like, what
That was
the
awesome.
hell are you saying?
I also
I-
like the super villain element of Christian, and then like he leaves the room, and then like you see that the fucking horror movie moment of like blood splatters across the screen because Amelia shows up, and then she has his whole ass arm and uses it as the.
Well, I mean, it would have been
biometric-
easy to break it off because she already broke it. Remember when
Yeah.
she like bends it and he's like, ah! And it's like
Another-
crazy broken. Yeah.
Another big like horror moment was that like when Katie finally like realizes what Gemma's saying, she twists backwards, twists his arm, and breaks it so the bone doesn't come out because it's
Well, she also jumps off
13,
the
but-
ledge to
Yes.
like
Yeah.
pull it down. So like, you know, there's moments where like stuff like that happens to a character, and when you like give a shit about the character, you feel it in your body. You're like, ah.
it's called
But when it
empathy, Steve.
But when it happens to somebody you don't care about, you're just like, rip it off. I mean, I don't. Maybe that's just me. I'm like, rip it off.
No, it
Yeah.
makes sense. So this is another like trope, right? Like the girl doesn't need saving; she can save herself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was really on the nose. Like Megan literally says, like, no, she has all the tools. She can save herself, and then use the Steven
Yeah.
Seagal stuff. But so like, I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't think it was too preachy. I didn't think it was like
Right.
disingenuous is the word I'm looking for, not preachy.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel disingenuous because she's using the Steven Seagal references, and it kind of is like, oh, so she likes them, but did she learn it from Gemma who watched those movies, or has Gemma just been like watching over her shoulder and knows these movies? It's kind of like a nice little little thing. But
yeah,
with
there's
Gemma,
also-
she's doesn't know how to fight, so she uses the biosuit. But with Katie, she actually does have the
Yeah.
ability to do that. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that's kind of a neat way to take that and just make it a little more genuine than just like she saved herself.
Absolutely. And then there's also like the added funny element of it, which is that like Steven Seagal in almost all of his movies breaks people at the forearm. Like
Yeah,
he just
yeah.
does it so
Yes.
often in movies, and that's exactly what she does. Or it's just like, okay, very good, very good, good job, movie.
I will say
And
that
he's such a ham that it's such a good reference
I mean, the only
to
thing
make
that
you laugh to
that
yourself.
made me sad is in the referencing all the movies to get her to hurt the guy. They skip over some of the funniest titles. Under Siege 2 Dark Territory. You can't
Yeah.
throw that in there. That would have been a heightening that would
No,
have killed
Katie,
me.
Under Siege.
Yeah,
Dark
yeah,
Territory.
exactly. Like it's funny. Even just Under Siege is.
Yeah.
I think she really drops
I
Under
do agree, Cam. It would have been funnier if she threw in one that was like so
One of the
obvious.
bad
Yeah,
titles.
but like that's like so obviously on the
Yeah.
nose that
Yeah.
it couldn't be missed.
But maybe the good comedy that we laughed at, we should give credit to. But
Yeah.
yes,
If only Steven Seagal was in a movie called Armbreaker.
Well, I mean, I could even feel it. I could feel it sort of like a little storm cloud above the theater as that moment was going on. I'm like, I don't think that everybody's getting this. And then like, I think the cure was Gemma being like, come on, what the fuck, Steven Seagal, just do it. Like, you know,
Yes.
what was the like above the law or something? Like it was like, she got him.
You
like,
may
at
not
the
be
end.
above the law, but you may be under siege.
Yeah.
It's this movie, every time it could push you off a cliff, it just pulls back a little, and it's because the characters are like, she's not trying to be funny, and it's not a comedic character. She's just trying to get her to break her arm.
Yeah.
And it's just, what we're watching is funny.
It is, yeah. And it was good.
It was.
And then everyone's a happy family afterwards.
I heard that Steven Seagal has no sense of humor. Do you think that he'll see M3GAN 2 and think that that's funny?
well, is M3GAN 2 getting a Russian release?
So
I think he
think
may take that the wrong way and think that his movies are the ultimate movies. He's better than Schwarzenegger now.
oh shit,
like,
kid woke up.
M3GAN,
I will say,
movie
let's-
making reference to me.
let's not give away the ending, because I think like if you go to the movie and you see that there's a like
I'm okay with that. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
like it's a really go see the movie. Go see the
see
movie.
it.
There's a very that you know what, we already addressed it earlier. I was gonna say there's like a moment where like the idea of family is extremely important, and the idea of mothers and daughters is stronger in this movie than in a lot of movies that you would see. And like even movies that do deal with it, there is usually still the element of fathers and sons kind of like floating around it as this sort of like horizontal thing that sometimes overpowers it. But in this movie, it is that. It's just that. You know, there's not really anything else to interfere with it.
That's why Common Sense Media gives this a 2 out of 5 in positive messaging, because themes are touched on of supporting family members and the difficulty of parenting and how to let kids learn resiliency and accountability.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's
Oh wow, indeed.
it's not very gendered. Like if you gender swapped it, it wouldn't, like it would be a different movie, obviously, but
Yeah.
like it's not, it's very genuine in its
The
presentation.
yeast infection joke would be like, I have a boner in public.
It's the things with
Still a good
with-
joke.
the things with these, I'm just gonna dance right over that. The things with these movies, is that when, like, as a kid watching, like as a woman as a woman later watching these movies, like you're supposed to be able to see yourself in the characters, right? And so I've grown up my whole life watching men be the prototype character, right? Like I need to be able to see myself in this character. So it's very natural for me to be able to identify with the male character, or like the default is man, right? We're all,
Yeah.
programmed for that.
Just what movies have been designed to be forever. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's jarring for people when it's flipped over, like, and it's just like women, and suddenly you can't see yourself in the movie anymore because it's women, and then like we're also super programmed to also react like that to this. And this movie, I think, gives me the most of the same sort of like this is default kind of feeling that I have felt in another movie with this type of content. It's usually much more feminine and more like, which is not a bad thing. That like Frozen 2 is one of my favorite movies for that reason. And I think honoring femininity is great. And then also having characters like Ray who can just kick ass is great. But then you have this, it's just like people. Like this movie is people.
And I mean, like, even for people that, you know, like you've admitted several times on this podcast that like you shy away from horror movies and stuff, so you haven't seen the first one, but like the first one does the exact same job that you're describing as well. There's almost no male characters in it. It's all just a story. And you know, as a male viewer, I feel that way as well, where I'm just slotted into all these characters. Like I'm ready to watch, you know, like I'm not sitting here being like, oh, here we go, have to listen to this woman like I'm just like, no, this is an interesting story that I want to hear.
That's how I feel too.
It's weird how good stories can just like
it transcends things like that, but you know,
and like well-rounded characters regardless of what. That's the like the shortcut is that with like dick and fart jokes and all of those movies like the Judd Apatow like Plague. Like that's a shortcut for making like movies where you don't have to do any depth because like, oh, this is dick and fart joke.
We get it. This is how we talk when we're alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't use that shorthand for everything. So I'm really glad that like
you can't use that shorthand, especially in a movie like this, which is a sequel to a
but also you know, like the yeast infection joke film. Is that is what it's the equivalent, right? But it's funny. It's funny. It's actually funny because she could have said anything there, but like it is funnier that that's what she said. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, that's my point that they've slotted that in. But like what I'm saying is, I'm glad they have stories in movies, and that we've at least in this horror nightmare where nothing makes sense, we're out of the Judd Apatow.
Listen,
world.
Noel, I don't mean to stop you up, but this sounds an awful lot like a Home Alone of it all and a final thought. So why don't we transition over to that, and then you can continue to talk as soon as we hear
one of the first times we haven't securely ended the movie in its ending, but I kind of like it.
I'm into it.
Everybody go see M3GAN 2. It's fucking
Everybody go see M3GAN 2. It's fucking good.
If you had to pick one, what do you think the Home Alone of it all? When is the Home Alone of it all? Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone of it all? I really gotta know. When is the Home Alone of it all? What is the Home Alone of it all? Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
Christmas episode.
I have to ask you, Jason. I said, everybody go see M3GAN 2. It's fucking good. And then you said, everybody go see M3GAN 2. It's fucking good immediately after I said it. Why did you do that? Why did you?
Because I was underlining what you were saying.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I was doing because we're the co-hosts, even though we're in different places than we normally are. Listen, the Home Alone of it all is the idea that when Kevin McAllister slaps on the blueprint to take out the horrible monsters, that's the part of the movie that we're all there to see. Noel was talking. Noel's been here before a million times, probably more times than anybody's ever been here before. So Noel, continue on like you've been continuing on, and also add a rating. Just if after you get through it and your final thoughts, get to the rating as well, please. Thank you. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. So the Home Alone of it all, I guess, is the Home Alone scene,
right?
Where you realize that M3GAN is taking. Has control of the home system. I am getting a little tired, which is why I'm getting a little rambly. So apologies for that. I have a full-time job. So, yeah, so that's the Home Alone of it all, the Home Alone scene. And then you realize that M3GAN is the one controlling it, and she beats up the FBI cyber guys. Like, and you're like, Okay, she's back. She's back.
The bitch is back. I think that was like their whole thing was like this bitch is back, like the Red Band trailer or whatever. Terrible.
Yeah, this movie is not without its fault, but it's one of the more enjoyable like movie going things that I've done. And like I've liked the other movies I've seen. Like we went and saw Thundercats.
Yeah.
And like I've seen a variety of things and it's all been fine and it's all nice. But this one, I don't know. I was walking in expecting, not sure what to expect. And I think like going in with low expectations can sometimes be like, oh, well, I enjoyed it with my low expectations, but I don't think that's it. I think this is the kind of movie that I like watching, where there's like a decent story. It's funny. They know like there's tongue in cheek, like there's some slapstick. It's just like a very modern, silly, fun movie. And I think the character of M3GAN, you can do so much with that. And I really do hope that they do, because I think it's just such a cool aesthetic too. Like it's a very cool aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what it does with it's very surprising to me that there aren't more there's a woman writer. There's two of the producers are women. Like, sorry, normally when you get this kind of thought out scenario, right? And it happened in Birds of Prey as well, and it happened in Wonder Woman. You usually have to have women behind the camera and in the creative in order to be conscious of those moments that are tropey and to have somebody pull them out. So I think that's definitely happened here. That like every single time that it could go somewhere, I think there was enough woman influence in it, or at least like different perspective, different eyes. And it's not to say that a man can't create that, because primarily the director and writer was a man, right? So like you don't need to have women behind the camera necessarily in order to be respectful or have something that's just a good movie without doing all the shit that we normally like do in these kinds of movies. Like it's the other reason I don't like slashers and I don't like all these movies. It's they're kind of not offensive in the way of like me clutching my pearls, but it's just not fun for me to see. Like it's just like I can only take so much of that hyper, like not even hyper masculine, just like bullshit that doesn't, like the shorthand that gets you from here to there without having to develop anything because it's yuck funny. Like I can't do that. It's not fun. So this movie, like if I'm not watching it from an intersectional feminist lens, I just enjoy it. And if I am, I'm satisfied. So I think that's hats off like to it for being kind of everything that I wanted it to be out of a movie. I liked it. My rating is 3 to 4 goddams out of a fuck that is cut off.
All right. Very good.
Oh, sorry. Can I say an addendum?
Oh,
the reason that the reason that I went it because it's Feminist Masterpiece Month, I'm doing a little more on that in this as the only lady on the thing, or else it probably would have been a little bit of a different zhuzh at the end there. So,
yeah.
Cam, how about you?
I had my phone. I had two cams in my phone, and I called the wrong one for this movie. I thought it was a different cam.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, my friend Cam, who's a lady, but it turned out it was Cam.
Yeah. I mean, I've never fully understood the Home Alone at all, so I'll say
your favorite section of the movie.
I know. I mean, it was him knocking himself out with the hanky chloroform. I don't know. It's not exactly what I want out of M3GAN, but I also think that this movie kind of defies that because you go in wanting something that's different than it is. But all the action, yeah, it was fun. The funniness, I think the comedy is really what makes this very recommendable. And I think it focuses on the comedy. It doesn't get too lost in the mechanics of anything or all that stuff. And I like Allison Williams, and I think she gets to have a lot of fun, which is nice too. I rate it 2.5 out of 3 arms.
Steven.
Oh, me. Yeah, I think this movie is exactly what I wanted it to be, but like not even a little bit more or a little bit less. It was sort of like a line from the first movie to this movie, and I was extremely excited. And when I went in, as soon as it started, when it said somewhere between these two territories boarding, I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand where we are. I know what's going to happen. And then, as the movie kept trooping forward, I kept getting stronger senses of the type of movie this was, and I enjoyed almost every single moment of it. There was not a moment that I was like, I need this to stop, or I don't like what I'm seeing. There were multiple times where I needed to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, I can't leave. What if Megan says something funny? Like this is how I was feeling the whole time. We've gone through all of it, but I don't think I have like a specific Home Alone of it all. There's so many things that I didn't expect, like the hanky bit, where as soon as he pulled it out, I think Danny next to me went, "Oh no!" And that "oh no" was like, "That's the chloroform hanky." Oh god! And then he pulled the other one. I'm like, "Ah, geez." But I do think that my favorite moment is when that door opened up and I realized that she was going to have a secret bunker underneath the house, where I'm like, okay, she's going to have like a Frankenstein lab. This is great. And then to learn that she not only does she have a Frankenstein lab, but she's also made a Frankenstein version of herself down there. Like all that stuff was so absolutely great. And it makes me understand that like Megan as a character can have so much more. Like there's so many more Megan adventures we can go on. I don't know if this movie should have been as long as it was, but like, like you said, no, like as soon as you were like, I need to maybe get out of here, that's when the movie wrapped it up, I don't know if I needed that much storm at the end when she's like, like I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. She's an AI robot. But I did like it a lot, and I if you like the first one even a little bit, you will love the second one. If you like Terminator, you'll like this movie. If you like Barbie, you'll probably like this movie. There's so much Barbie in this that I was having like a moment where I'm like, where is Noel seated? Because I need to like elbow me like, Barbie. This is like Barbie. It's doing sort of the same for me, at least. I don't know. Like I can't speak to it in the same way as you can, but like it did a lot of the same stuff to me that Barbie did, where I'm like, I'm realizing things that I didn't realize before as like a man watching a movie about women and just having them do stuff. I like this movie a lot, and I might even buy it in a steel case if it comes out, like a steel cased Blu-ray
I'm
at some
buying
point.
this. In hard copies, because I never know when things are going to disappear. So
yeah.
Physical media.
I'm going to say that I'm going to give this 2 ratings. My first rating is if you think that you won't like this movie for any kind of dumb reason, just look at the poster for The Thing and then remember how much you like The Thing and then go watch this because you might like it. If you like The Thing, you might like this movie. Absolutely. And then my other one is going to be getting woken up in the middle of the night by somebody who you thought wanted to kill you, but you realized was your friend, and then you slowly try to lean over to go back to sleep, even though they're still watching you, seeing you even.
Thank you, Steven. That was fantastic. My Home Alone of it all was absolutely the Home Alone segment. But I will say, thank you for reminding me of that. Thank you for me to remind all of you of that.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Absolutely.
My actual rating was going to be an AI photo of this movie where it's like, it's slightly off, but you appreciate it because it's there.
I love that too. But I will say my actual Home Alone of it all was Megan's reveal of being a weirdo monster in a wheelchair. is how it felt. Like that's how it felt. I know, but she was on like tank wheels too. Like what the fuck? Who came up with that? It was so good, so genius. I really I think when the movie starts, that's the Home Alone of it all for me. How many references to the previous are we going to get, and what are they going to expand on? But my final thoughts include: I really enjoyed it. It's a great follow-up to the first one, and they made it a bit more accessible by taking out all of the horror. I really enjoyed the version of M3GAN where she put herself back together, which is hilarious. In fact, that's the biggest draw here. So in my notes, I am actually just talking about the Home Alone of it all. It's self-referential, absurd, goofy, and hilarious, all in the best way possible. It also has a great action fight. It also has great action fight segments. Overall, I'm glad they did this. I just hope we get another sequel. But it seems to have flopped compared to the original. I guess movies that get attention because they become memes shouldn't be re-released or sequeled. I'm talking about you.
Are you reading your... What is this?
He always says that.
Oh.
This is my notes. Morbius had a very similar thing happen.
Listen, give it a couple weeks, Jason. You're so critical already. It's just been one weekend.
I'm not critical. The critics are critical.
Right.
And I'm a critic.
You just said it seems to have flopped. You sound critically
I've been influenced.
Do you know what else flopped?
And I am very influenced by this.
Do you know what else flopped? Scott Pilgrim, which also has a lot of cross-pollination with this.
Yeah.
Also had amazing legs, and the people who liked it really, really
I went to a midnight release of Scott Pilgrim, and I thought it was going to be the biggest thing that ever had happened.
I
that's because you live in
5 years from now, there's going to be people dressed up as M3GAN with the short wig and the crazy glow glasses. Those glow glasses were great. I like those a lot too. I don't think we talked about
the point of my final note here, though, is sometimes it seems like maybe people get the wrong impression when things are memed, because Morbius got a re-release in theaters because of a view count. And obviously this film is much, and M3GAN 1 was much better than Morbius. Morbius was the most memed on nonsense, and it's a bad movie. But sometimes maybe we don't rely too heavily on the view count, I think is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I give this, even though the entire world gave this movie a 2.6 out of 5, I give this movie a 4 out of 5.
I thought you were going to give it a 2.0 out of 5.
No.
Or you're going to say it's M3GAN time instead of it's Morbin time or whatever the fuck.
Do you know what's funny it's funny you say that, because I was writing how do I make this Morbin time? No. I give this movie an updated model of an already great device. I also give this movie a Terminator 2 out of Predator. That's all you need to know.
And just when I'm like, oh crap, my dog's pacifier ran out. It's a pacifier.
For a dog?
I've been on the internet for way too long.
Yeah, Jason's like, that's a pacifier for my booty hole.
No, it's a pacifier for a dog. So I'm glad we're nearing the end of this, because she's about to freak out.
Well, we should go into plugs and then get the fuck out of here, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me just plug this in right here and...
I wish M3GAN was here to give us their plug, because I'm sure it would be like, see me in the fucking third one. But Noel,
yes,
you got anything to plug this week?
You guys in the butt.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Wow.
Well, you guys have been making penis and butt and fart jokes the whole time.
I mean,
I haven't made a single fart joke today. Okay.
Because you're too busy farting.
Dude, I farted so many times in this podcast.
I can play too. Okay?
You can play too.
No, absolutely. I plug this show and go see M3GAN. And if you liked me on the show, there's a playlist. And the more that you like me, the more that they let me on the show. And if you don't like me, they'll still let me on the show. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But I love you guys. Your audience is the best. And I'm glad that your podcast exists because it's the most fun I have on a Thursday night.
It's the best Thursday thing to do.
We're
Thank
the
you,
Thursday
Kendall.
Warriors.
Cam, why don't you tell us about what you have going on?
Sure. I mean, if you want my real plugs, go to hollywoodsweet.ca to see the channel that I work for, but also if you go to the HS Originals, there's a lot of documentaries about film history and movies and all sorts of perspectives on things, not just mine own, but with me. But I was also going to say, if you like the idea of the evil copier in M3GAN, there's a 1985 TV movie from Hamilton called The Tower about an evil office tower that
I've seen that movie.
Which we're going to clearly feature on the show, obviously.
It has to be.
It decides humans are the energy suck in the building, and it starts killing humans to become more green and efficient.
Wait, that was
like a
made in
feminist
Hamilton?
masterpiece.
Yes, CHCH for a long stretch made a weekly TV movie. Many of them are lost, but a handful are still around. Worth seeking out. They're all kind of bad, but the Tower is top tier.
It's
those.
good, yeah. I think it's like
Top tier.
I believe
The Tower.
I think at the end of the day, it's like the architect who made the tower, his wife like murdered him and like buried.
I don't even remember, but it's a
spoiler.
Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil.
It's a fun movie, and those old CHCH movies are really worth digging up if you can.
Yeah. Well, that's Thanks, Cam, for reminding me about that movie because I've seen it. I have seen it.
It's all on YouTube. I think CHCH.
It's also all on Tubi. Anything that's on YouTube is on Tubi as well. If you want to get a couple of toothpaste ads while you're watching it, but it'll be better quality.
I was gonna ask you about your fake plug, but that's not a fake plug. That's a great plug, and I think that suffices. How about you, Steven? What do you got cooking on the back burner these days, buddy?
Well, do you guys mind if I play the Stanland trailer because it's coming out at the end of this
on the 26th, I believe.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Can we play it?
Yeah, we can. We have carte blanche.
Where is it? Oh, it's right here.
Carp lunch?
Yep,
carp.
From WSUS Raleigh, I'm Milo Goddard, and do I have a story for you? In the fall of 2022, a podcaster by the name of Melanie Hughes went missing. A few weeks later, by the side of a road in Poolesville, Maryland, a digital recorder belonging to Melanie was found.
The wardrobe is a portal?
Yeah, though technically the portal was there first. Mom built an IKEA wardrobe around it. It's the Florida Flula model. Some of these changes, wow, not sitting good with me. Everything's a little too modern.
So let me understand, Zangia was a simpler place, but in the past 12 years, it's become Myrtle Beach?
I am Azran, king of Zangia, hence retired. Now I rule nothing. I forgot to introduce you to my guest.
Bobby? Look, I'm bringing this dump into modern times, and you morons are gonna help me.
We're stuck here as his servants unless we find some other way out.
I suggest you head to the dreaded dungeons of Chiorotha.
He's called the Dark One for a reason. Dread spreads across the land upon his growing shadow, or something.
Hello, guests. Greetings. Come in. Come in.
Get me home. Open the portal. Get us both home. Me and Melanie. I'm done.
You're not going anywhere.
Stanland is a 5-part audio fiction series featuring Bobby Moynihan, Ray Seahorn, Steve Little, Tim Sharp, John Hamm, John Waters, and more.
You're not going to want to miss Stanland, available this summer on the Sonar Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe now.
Wow, featuring Tim Sharp from M3GAN 2.0.
Yeah, he was in it. He was the guy. He's the guy who got stabbed.
And
with
Mark
his
Little,
new-
who's been on this very show. So,
Oh yeah, Mark Little has been on the show. Other than that, I'm doing Darth Theorist and Three-Eyed Theorist, which I do every week, all the time. If you guys like it, then keep liking it. If you don't, then why are you watching? Just kidding. Keep watching. We're almost at 50K for Star Wars. I love everybody who listens. It's great. And you know,
I got Chewy.
that's it. That's it. That's all I got. Love it.
well, thank you, Stephen. I'm so excited to see that. I'm so excited to watch that, and it looks amazing.
Oh, actually, I just signed on to a video game this week. I'm going to be in a video game, which is kind of cool. It's supposed to come out this year, but I won't tell you what it is yet. But that's kind of exciting too. I'm going to be the bad guy.
I'm going to be the villain in a game.
You, a villain?
I can play one, I think.
But I don't know why.
I hear it. I can hear it. I would be your villainous sidekick, and each and every week, I think I am
Jason
your
would be
villain.
like,
Each and every week, hey, somebody get the devil on the phone over here.
Just kidding, Jason. That's not what you sound like.
Oh, that's
at
what he
all.
sounds like.
Yeah.
That's a perfect Jason.
Let's get the devil on the phone.
You didn't make enough fart sounds. Yeah.
Hey guys.
Gather round, freaks. Oops, excuse me. That wasn't my butt. It was the front butt. Oh, my robo-butt is activated.
I don't know when to put that in tonight, but I found the exact point. Look, it's hard to follow that, but you can find our podcast, Hey Did You See This One, each and every week, wherever you get your podcasts, specifically Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Very easy to get them there. Live at 8 p.m. every Thursday, as you probably know by now. What I normally do is I put these things up for on demand on the weekend, like through the weekend. I've been very attuned to the SEO of it all, so I listen to what vidIQ tells me when to put the things up, and then it pays off. So typically Friday I'm going to put the video on demand up. Saturday I'm probably going to put the audio on demand up. Who knows? In addition to that, I am the announcer for Super Kick Professional Wrestling here in Toronto. We don't have another show.
He does a bang up job, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you. I am probably the best to ever do it when it comes to that. Last week, we had Al Snow. Yes, that Al Snow. Come through and do his full Job Squad gimmick on the show. You can find that on YouTube. The show is What Does Everybody Want? Next month, I don't know. I don't know what the big draw is for July 25th, but it's going to be a great show. In addition to all that, we have t-shirts, and we've sold t-shirts now. It means that Corporal Tunnel Syndrome is coming out this week to coalesce and co-align with our 500th YouTube subscriber. But in addition to that, you can find our Grimoire Familiar Killers photo. Nope, it's not a photo. It's drawn by Stephen R. Waters himself.
I drew it. I didn't photograph it. I drew it.
No.
With my own two hands.
You didn't take
all in
you
the
didn't
same
take
room.
this picture.
I said, Freddie, take a step back. And Chucky's like, I don't want to get near this guy. What do you mean? He's got your fingers.
There are actually 5 familiar killers in the Grimoire, but somebody had to take the picture. We also have Kill-Aid, Twinkerbell. You saw it earlier on the show tonight where Zardos comes and asks us a very important question. And every week, the whole did you see this one? Empire is a part of the Howie Mandel effect.
I assume no one has ever bought the Howie Mandel effect, but somebody has to at one time, right?
Might be me.
Well,
I purposely made a rainbow of colors that would never be in a rainbow together for that picture.
But it also looks like a meme from 2009. So that's also
it looks like something that would be on like a popsicle wrapper in the late 90s.
from Dickie D.
His eyeballs would be gumballs or something.
Oh, okay, so I would like to do this where both of you say the thing at the same time. That's just my personal thing, but we're gonna rush right toward it. There's one question that needs to be asked each and every week, and I would like Cam and Noel to ask it at the same time. What is that question?
Hey,
did
you see
this one?
Well, we did it. Technical difficulties notwithstanding, we still got through the whole thing. How do you guys feel?
Thanks for watching.
I gotta poop.
Yeah, good
I'm
for
trying
you.
to end it. I'm
Yeah.
trying to end it.
Damn it.
Oh no, but I gotta play the other thing.
All right.
Can you say the I gotta
about
poop
to play
line
the
again?
Yeah, I can say that, yeah. I gotta poop.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.
So you can teleport, but only as far as you can throw a piece of your own clothing. So this is pretty cool because I'm going to start with a shirt. I want to land right on my feet.